Chapter 26. When Jiang Tian returned to the Times mansion, Zhao Xueqing was working overtime in the study. He tiptoed into the kitchen and began to make pills. It had to be said that the herbs that Zhou Zhenghao gathered were not bad. Jiang Tian spent 3 hours and finally refined a Peiyuan pill. When he came out of the kitchen, Jiang Tian found that Zhao Xueqing was already asleep. However, Jiang Tian did not take the pill immediately. Jiang Tian understood that more haste, less speed. Breaking through from body forging to qi refining was a qualitative leap. He must have a good foundation. The next day at work, Zhao Xueqing entered the office. Zhou Liwen, who was in the laboratory, ran over and said happily, "Director Zhao, the experiment is a success." "What did you say?" Zhao Xueqing could not believe it. Professor Li's 10th experiment was a success. The patients didn't have any side effects. The effect is very obvious. After the ointment was applied, the ulcers were completely healed within 2 days. This effect is too amazing. Zhou Liwen handed over the experiment record and said excitedly, "It's a success. It's really a success. That's great." Zhao Xueqing quickly took the experiment record and read it. She could no longer hold back the smile on her face. She was so happy that she almost cried. She had been working on the improvement of the muscle-nourishing ointment for more than half a year. She had worked overtime dozens of times with countless experimenters. However, there was no progress. Now, she could finally see the light. Zhao's pharmaceutical company did not have any outstanding products. They were barely supported by the sales team. They could not make ends meet. This formula was enough to bring Zhao's pharmaceutical company back to life. It could even become one of the top pharmaceutical companies in the country. Zhao Xueqing quickly reported the news to Wei Fang. Wei Fang was also very happy as she smiled. "Professor Li, you're really not simple. The consultation fee was not spent in vain. Tonight, focus on introducing this product to Lu Wangfeng. With the Lu family's sales system, this product will definitely become a hit." When it was time to get off work, Zhao Xueqing called Jiang Tian and said, "Jiang Tian, I have a business meeting tonight. You can go home by yourself." "Who are you talking to?" Jiang Tian asked casually. "Lu Wangfeng, we have a hot product." When Zhao Xueqing uttered these 3 words, Jiang Tian didn't hear a single word that came out of her mouth. Crack! With a crisp sound, the small stone in Jiang Tian's hand was crushed into powder. Lu Wangfeng was the main culprit who caused him to be poisoned by alcohol and forced Zhao Xueqing to her death in his previous life. He had brought him endless pain. He deserved to die. "Hey, thank you, Jiang Tian, did you hear that? Is there a problem with you going back by yourself?" Zhao Xueqing asked when she heard that Jiang Tian didn't move for a long time. "Oh, Xueqing, I'll go with you. Didn't Lu Wangfeng chase after you before? I'm afraid that he'll do something bad to you." Jiang Tian tried his best to suppress his excitement and said in a calm tone, "All right then. If Lu Wangfeng wants to get close to me, you can make him give up completely. But you can't hit him." Zhao Xueqing didn't think that Lu Wangfeng would do anything out of the ordinary. But when she thought of Li Pengtao's actions, she understood that it was impossible to judge a book by its cover. In the end, she agreed. "But you won't let me fight? If you really annoy him, I'll kill him with a knife." Jiang Tian chuckled. "How can that be?" Zhao Xueqing was shocked and said, "We still have to work with the Lu family. If you dare to fight, then don't go." "Then how can I make him give up?" Jiang Tian's face was gloomy. "Don't you know how to show affection? We're husband and wife." After hesitating for a moment, Zhao Xueqing's face blushed. She pouted and hung up the phone. Jiang Tian rejected the invitation of a group of girls from the public relations department to hang out at night. He quietly went to the underground parking lot, which was reserved for the president and department head. He got into Zhao Xueqing's Chevrolet and headed to the Sapphire Hotel. Night fell in Linzhou City. The man and woman didn't know what the other party was thinking. The couple's first public display of affection came because of the collaboration with the Lu family. The Sapphire Hotel was a 5-star hotel that was recently completed 2 years ago. It was located beside a resort in the eastern suburbs. It was surrounded by mountains and rivers, and the entire hotel was elegant. The rich European style made many people from the upper class like to discuss business here. When they got out of the car, Zhao Xueqing stretched out her arm and held onto Jiang Tian's arm. She acted like a little girl and said, "Let's go." Jiang Tian didn't know whether to laugh or cry. "How can you act like this? If you want him to know that we're close, then you have to show a smile. With your cold expression, he might think that you're a resentful woman. He hit me half a month ago. How can I smile?" Zhao Xueqing rolled her eyes and whispered, "You have to be careful later. If I don't signal you to speak, then don't speak." "Yes, my wife." Jiang Tian felt guilty and couldn't refute when she mentioned his previous evil deeds. The two of them were led by two beautiful hostesses and soon arrived at a large private room facing the lakeside. The door of a baroque milky-white private room opened, and a boorish man wearing suspenders, a white shirt, and a wine-red bow tie appeared. He smiled and said, "Miss Zhao, please come in. My young master has been waiting for a long time." Obviously, this man didn't even look at Jiang Tian. He didn't even consider Jiang Tian as a guest. He's a martial artist, and his cultivation isn't low. He should be at the peak of iron body. However, Jiang Tian looked at him deeply. He felt a kind of aura from this man. It was more obvious than the aura from Elder Tang and Tang Linglong. There was a faint sense of pressure. As expected, the Lu family or the three major families of Jinling definitely didn't have the power to defeat the Jiang family. There should be an expert guiding and helping them behind the scenes. Zhao Xueqing nodded and pulled Jiang Tian into the luxurious room. The air was filled with the faint smell of sandalwood. It refreshed the heart and refreshed the mind. "Xueqing, you're finally here." A magnetic voice was heard. A man in a white shirt stood up from the European-style leather sofa against the wall. The man was in his 30s. He was tall and had clean short hair. His eyebrows were sharp and his eyes were bright. He was handsome and exuded a noble aura. This kind of aura couldn't be faked. It could only be cultivated by a wealthy family. In Linzhou, the Lu family was second only to the Tang family. In terms of wealth, they were even better than the Tang family. Lu Wangfeng. Jiang Tian's eyes were filled with murderous intent. A sharp cold light flashed past. In his previous life, he forced Zhao Xueqing to her death. Jiang Tian came to take revenge with a dagger, but he was beaten to the point that he vomited blood and was thrown out of the door. At that time, Lu Wangfeng had already maliciously purchased the Zhao Pharmaceutical Company. He was extremely arrogant and lofty like a noble. Jiang Tian, on the other hand, was like an ant that had no power to fight back, panicking like a stray dog. Jiang Tian's heart was filled with hatred. He wanted to slap Lu Wangfeng into pieces. However, he forced himself to calm down. He wasn't in a hurry to deal with this bastard. It was like a cat playing with a mouse. He would slowly play with him and let him taste pain and fear. Moreover, up until now, Lu Wangfeng had not taken any substantial action. Previously, he had asked Wu Chaohui to deal with the alcohol poisoning. If he acted rashly, he was afraid that Zhao Xueqing would misunderstand him. Zhao Xueqing nodded her head expressionlessly. "Chairman Lu is too polite." Lu Wangfeng didn't seem to have noticed Zhao Xueqing's coldness. He still went up with a face full of joy and revealed the charm of a mature man. With a humble and sincere smile, he said, "I've been wanting to meet you for a long time. Regardless of whether the cooperation is successful or not, I'm satisfied to be able to have dinner with you." It was hard to imagine that the CEO of a listed company, the successor of the second-ranked family in Linzhou City, would be so humble and fawning to a woman. In the entire Linzhou City, there probably weren't many people who could withstand such a gentle attack. However, Zhao Xueqing wasn't affected by it. She still replied coldly, "You're too polite." Lu Wangfeng smiled and pulled out a chair in a gentlemanly manner. "Xueqing, please take a seat." At this moment, Jiang Tian felt that he had underestimated Lu Wangfeng's intelligence. This brat should have already investigated his marriage with Zhao Xueqing. He even knew about Jiang Tian's background. He didn't treat Jiang Tian as an opponent at all. However, Jiang Tian didn't say anything. He pulled out a chair and was about to sit beside Zhao Xueqing. At this moment, the coarse man pushed the chair back and said with a sinister smile, "Miss Zhao, our young master Lu only invited you. May I know who this gentleman is and why are you joining us?" "I'm Xueqing's husband. We sleep on the same bed at night and go to work together during the day." Jiang Tian pulled out a chair and sat down. "Jianggen, you rogue?" Zhao Xueqing pouted coquettishly. She was so embarrassed that her beautiful face flushed red. "How am I a pervert? Didn't you call me Big Brother on the bed last night?" Jiang Tian's large hand brushed past Zhao Xueqing's beautiful legs that were covered in silk stockings. He felt an extremely smooth sensation, like warm and fragrant jade. Zhao Xueqing's heart trembled violently. Her beautiful eyes rippled with shyness and intoxication. Although she knew that Jiang Tian was acting to make Lu Wangfeng give up, she still couldn't help but feel her heart pounding wildly. However, the strange thing was that she couldn't reject Jiang Tian's touch at this moment. She sensed a refreshing and pleasant scent from Jiang Tian's body. It was a fatal attraction to her that she couldn't reject at all. The entire room was dead silent. Lu Wangfeng's face fell instantly. He had already investigated everything. The two of them didn't get along and had never slept on the same bed. However, it seemed that the two of them were so close now. No matter how magnanimous Lu Wangfeng was, he was still furious when he thought of his beloved woman moaning under Jiang Tian's body. He clenched his teeth so hard that they almost broke. Moreover, didn't Wu Chaohui say that his brain was damaged? However, he looked normal now. Could it be that the operation failed? Lu Wangfeng's face turned a little pale. He forced a smile and said, Mr. Jiang and Xueqing are really a celestial couple. I'm so envious." He gave a signal to the boorish man and said, "Conk, don't be rude to Mr. Jiang. Go and get the waiter to prepare the food." "Yes, young master." Conk nodded and quickly walked out of the room. Jiang Tian couldn't help but have a higher opinion of Lu Wangfeng. It seemed that he wasn't a brainless rich second-generation heir. He even knew how to endure. Chapter 27. Whether it was Jiang Tian or Lu Wangfeng, both of them made Zhao Xueqing feel uneasy. She calmed herself down and said, "Young Master Lu, it's still early. Let's talk about the cooperation first." All right. Whatever you say, Xueqing. The guest will follow the host." Lu Wangfeng no longer bothered with Jiang Tian. At this moment, he had already regained his demeanor as he smiled warmly. Although he was obviously trying to curry favor with Zhao Xueqing, Lu Wangfeng knew when to advance and retreat when it came to the negotiation. He would make compromises when he needed to, and he wouldn't give up on the benefits that he needed to insist on. When it came to business, Zhao Xueqing became more talkative. She wasn't good at socializing, but she had the demeanor of a successful career woman in business negotiations. When introducing the product, she was full of witty words. When it came to the price, she would only give up when she got the most benefits. Jiang Tian looked at Zhao Xueqing gently and sighed in his heart. Why didn't he notice Zhao Xueqing's charm in his previous life? She was such a virtuous and capable wife, yet he beat and scolded her. He was simply inhumane. Just like that, an hour later, the cooperation plan was finalized. Lu Wangfeng signed his name on the Strategic Cooperation Agreement, and Zhao Xueqing only needed to bring it back for Wei Fong to sign. All right. I hope that Chairman Lu can keep his promise. I believe that the skin-nourishing ointment will definitely be a hit and win a broader market for both parties. Zhao Xueqing put away the contract. After a long battle of words, her pretty face was flushed red, and there was a kind of soul-stirring softness. Looking at this touching scene, Lu Wangfeng's heart thumped wildly. His gaze was dazed for a moment before he solemnly said, "Definitely. I hope that we can have a pleasant cooperation." It was already past 8 p.m. Conk stood up and smiled. "Chairman Lu, Miss Xiao should be hungry, right? Shall we serve the dishes?" "Yes, serve the dishes. I'm very happy to see Miss Xiao today. Give me my precious Latterberg red wine." Lu Wangfeng said. Zhao Xueqing didn't stop him. In order to maintain her figure, she ate very little at noon. Now, her stomach was rumbling. She was really hungry. After a while, the dishes were served. Conk opened the wine and filled everyone's glasses. Lu Wangfeng raised his cup and smiled. The cooperation with the Zhao Pharmaceutical Company this time went smoothly and delightfully. Come, Xueqing, let me toast you. Chairman Lu, you're too courteous. I should be the one toasting you. Zhao Xueqing raised her wineglass and smiled faintly. With a tinkling sound, the two goblets collided in the air, and the scarlet wine rippled. Zhao Xueqing's snow-white hands sparkled under the light of the crystal chandelier, as if they were carved out of fine jade, making Lu Wangfeng's heart beat wildly. Come, Mr. Jiang Tian, let me toast you. Conk pulled Jiang Tian aside and toasted him with a simple and honest smile. Drink this wine and you'll be mine. Seeing that Zhao Xueqing's wineglass was close to her lips, Lu Wangfeng took a sip of the red wine with a cold smile on his lips. He was feeling smug in his heart. Unexpectedly, Jiang Tian snatched the wine cup away from Zhao Xueqing. He raised his head and gulped down the wine in one gulp. He wiped the wine stain on the corner of his mouth and said, Xueqing is preparing for pregnancy and can't drink. I'll drink on her behalf. Zhao Xueqing felt a trace of sweetness in her heart. She never expected that Jiang Tian would drink for her. Not bad. Lu Wangfeng knitted his brows and smiled. Then it's fine. Conk, bring a bottle of drink for Xueqing. Conk turned around and took a bottle of coconut juice from the wine cabinet and placed it before Zhao Xueqing. Lu Wangfeng, that's enough, right? You've tried to poison her time and time again. Don't you have any shame? Jiang Tian suddenly spoke with a cold gaze. What do you mean by poison? Zhao Xueqing still had no idea what was going on as she was astonished. Panic flashed in Lu Wangfeng's eyes as he forced a smile. Jiang Tian, what are you joking about? I'm sincere in my cooperation with Miss Zhao. Let's go. Jiang Tian pulled Zhao Xueqing and left. He already had the intention to kill, but he had also learned a lesson from injuring Li Pengtao previously. If he wanted to kill someone, he had to find a dark and windy night. Jiang Tian, don't even think about leaving this room if you don't make yourself clear. Lu Wangfeng did not move from his seat as he let out a sinister smile and slit Conk's throat. Conk quickly walked to the door and blocked his path. No one in this world can stop me. Jiang Tian held Zhao Xueqing's hand and snorted in disdain. Get lost if you don't want to die. Hee, Jiang Tian, who do you think you are? How dare you talk to our young master like that? Conk threw a punch at Jiang Tian's chest with a ferocious expression as if she wanted to beat Jiang Tian to death to vent her anger. He was an orthodox martial artist with a cultivation base at the pinnacle of the iron body stage. He was much stronger than Zhou Zhenghao's subordinates. His punch was like a cannonball that exploded in the air. A gust of wind blew in the room, making it difficult for people to breathe. If this punch landed, it would be enough to shatter stone and kill an ordinary person immediately. I'm afraid that Jiang Tian will meet God after Conk's punch. A piece of trash who was abandoned by the Jiang family dares to challenge me and fight for a woman with me? Do you think you're worthy? Lu Wangfeng did not even move. He sat calmly as he swirled the wine in his glass. His eyes were filled with coldness as he mocked Conk in his heart. Just now, Lu Wangfeng had received instructions from Jinling. He could kill Jiang Tian first and cause trouble for the Jiang clan, making it easier for the three great clans of Jinling to move. They would also help Lu Wangfeng settle everything and take down the Zhao clan. Slap! To his surprise, Jiang Tian raised his hand and slapped Conk's face as if he was swatting a fly. Conk was like a kite with a broken string. She flew 5 meters before her head hit the wall, leaving a bright red stain on the wall. Conk slowly fell to the ground. She closed her eyes and remained motionless. What? Lu Wangfeng was shocked. He stood up and took a step back. Isn't he a piece of trash? How can he be so powerful? Conk is an internal force expert sent by the Jinlin city. It felt as if Jiang Tian was an ant that could be easily squashed. But now, he had turned into a prehistoric Tyrannosaurus rex. Jiang Tian turned around and approached Lu Wangfeng. His eyes were filled with murderous intent as he said coldly, Young Master Lu, I didn't want to pursue this matter. I've given you a chance, but you didn't cherish it. Jiang Tian, what are you trying to do? When he noticed Jiang Tian's icy cold killing intent, Lu Wangfeng's heart was in chaos, and he cried out involuntarily with a slightly trembling voice. You drugged me and ordered Conk to kill me. What do you think I should do to you? Jiang Tian walked up to him and slapped his face. Slap. Lu Wangfeng was sent flying. He smashed the LCD TV on the wall into pieces and slid to the ground. His head was bleeding profusely from the impact. His face was covered in blood and he was in a sorry state. He didn't look like a young master anymore. Jiang, how dare you hit me? I won't let you go. Lu Wangfeng held his head and shook it a little. He then got up, pointed at Jiang Tian, and cursed while gnashing his teeth. He was one of the top young masters in Linzhou. He was on par with Tang Jianfeng and the others. When had he ever been humiliated like this? I hope you can still threaten me like this after I break your limbs. After Jiang Tian said that, he reached out his hands and grabbed Lu Wangfeng's arm. He twisted it gently. Gotcha! A crisp sound was heard. Lu Wangfeng's arm was easily broken like a stick. It was bent in a strange direction like a praying mantis's arm. What? Zhao Xueqing was stunned. She couldn't believe it. Lu Wangfeng was a taboo in Linzhou. No one dared to offend him. However, Jiang Tian slapped Lu Wangfeng's face and broke his arm. Lu Wangfeng's handsome face twisted. Then he let out a shrill scream. He stumbled back and knocked over the coffee table. Jiang Tian's actions were too fast. Zhao Xueqing only reacted when she heard Lu Wangfeng scream. She rushed over and grabbed Jiang Tian. She said anxiously, Jiangtan, stop it. You promised me that you won't fight. Lu Wangfeng, I'm willing to let Xueqing be frightened. I'll let you go this time. If you dare to cause trouble again, I'll kill you. Jiang Tian didn't even look at Lu Wangfeng. He picked up the bottle of coconut juice on the table and left with Zhao Xueqing. On the way back, Zhao Xueqing's face was as cold as frost. She was furious. She didn't expect Jiang Tian to hit Lu Wangfeng. It seemed like the cooperation with the Lu family was over. My dear wife, are you unhappy? Did I frighten you? Jiang Tian said with a fawning smile. Jiang Tian, how can you be so impulsive? How can you hit someone? You're like a lunatic. Zhao Xueqing said angrily. Lu Wangfeng didn't have good intentions. He drugged the red wine. Jiang Tian waved the bottle of coconut juice and said, after I blocked the wine for you, I drugged you with coconut juice. If you don't believe me, you can find a laboratory to test it. What are you joking about? Zhao Xueqing said disdainfully, why would he drug me? He wants to violate me. Isn't he afraid of legal punishment? Although the Zhao family isn't a big family, we won't be bullied by anyone. Besides, did you see it with your own eyes when he drugged me? How did you know? Also, if it's really poisonous, why are you fine after drinking it? Zhao Xueqing grew up in a simple environment. How would she know how despicable and scary the top families were? Xueqing, you have to believe me. As long as you check it, you'll understand. Facing Zhao Xueqing's barrage of questions, Jiang Tian was speechless. He could only laugh bitterly. He used his heaven's eye to see the black poisonous gas in the wine. Normal people wouldn't be able to see it with their naked eyes. Jiang Tian was already at the second level of body tempering stage. Not to mention that he was immune to poison, these poisons from the secular world were completely ineffective. However, if he said all this, Zhao Xueqing would probably think that he was even crazier. Chapter 28. Alright, that's enough. I'm so annoyed with you right now. Unable to accomplish anything but good at spoiling things. Zhao Xueqing was extremely disappointed. She originally thought that Jiang Tian's condition had improved, but it didn't. Instead, he became even crazier. Instead of beating her, he started to beat others. They didn't speak along the way, and when they were about to arrive at the Times mansion, Zhao Xueqing received a call from Wei Fang. Wei Fang said that she had something important to discuss and asked her to make a trip to the lakeside villa. You go home first. I'll go and see my parents, Zhao Xueqing said with a tired and weak face. The truth was out and a storm was coming. Xueqing, let me go with you. I'll bear the consequences of my actions, Jiang Tian said. How are you going to bear the consequences? Zhao Xueqing was annoyed as she urged, hurry up and go home. I'll thank you if you don't cause trouble for me. All right then. Jiang Tian helplessly took the bottle of coconut juice and got out of the car. In the living room of Lakeside Villa 39, Zhao Huqing and Wei Fang sat on the sofa with ashen faces. Zhao Xueqing didn't dare to make a sound as she brewed tea by the side. Jiang Tian even dared to beat up Lu Wangfeng. He must be tired of living. Zhao Huqing slammed the table and scolded. He can't do anything right. Wei Fang's face was also filled with hatred. The Lu family has already said that they want to ban the Zhao Pharmaceutical Company from the market. They can just wait for the company to close down. Mom, it's all my fault. I didn't stop Jiang Tian in time, but he did make the first move. Zhao Xueqing sat by the side with tears in her eyes. She wanted to explain for Jiang Tian. Just because the other party made the first move, how can he beat them up so badly? Wei Fang said angrily, Conk has a concussion and might become a vegetable. Lu Wangfeng's arm is fractured and has a mild concussion. Does he have any concept of the law? We're decent businessmen, not gangsters. Auntie, I believe that Jiang Tian must have his reasons for doing this. Zhao Xueqing said weakly. What reason could he have? He's a madman, a lunatic. Zhao Huqing cursed angrily. The atmosphere was stifling, and the air was so thick that it was as if water could drip out. The three of them were speechless for a long time. In the huge living room, there was a terrifying silence. The Lu family has said that they will pursue Jiang Tian's legal responsibility and send him to prison. Zhao Huqing frowned as he took out his phone and glanced at it. Zhao Xueqing pretty face a panic. Dad, you can't do this, go to prison, Jiang Tian's life will be ruined. Then what can we do? With her arms crossed, Wei Fang expressionlessly said, he's responsible for what he did. Otherwise, our Zhao family will also be finished. Why don't we report the situation to the Jiang family and ask them for help? Zhao Xueqing said anxiously. The Jiang family is surrounded by enemies and can't even take care of themselves. How would they have the time to get such a useless disciple? Zhao Huqing said, moreover, after Jiang Tian beat up that Yanjing young master, the Jiang family cut ties with him, so how would the Jiang family dare to help him? Then what should we do? We can't just watch as Jiang Tian is sent to prison, right? Zhao Xueqing said. The Lu family also put forward a condition, as long as you divorce Jiang Tian, they won't pursue Jiang Tian's responsibility. Wei Fang said patiently, Xueqing, just divorce Jiang Tian. He's already crazy, so don't care about him. Auntie, how can I not care about Jiang Tian? No matter what, he's my husband. Zhao Xueqing's tears rolled down. If you don't divorce him, the Lu family will destroy our Zhao Pharmaceutical Company. Zhao Huqing said angrily, this brat is a troublemaker. Do you want to watch our Zhao family be dragged down by him? Xueqing, you don't have to worry about Jiang Tian's life. I can give him 1 million as a breakup fee. Wei Fang took out a bank card and handed it over. She said gently, do you know that Lu Wangfeng has been targeting Jiang Tian because of you? Only if you divorce Jiang Tian and cut ties with Jiang Tian will Lu Wangfeng let go of Jiang Tian. Lu Wangfeng is targeting Jiang Tian because of me. Zhao Xueqing's heart was in a mess as tears blurred her eyes. After Jiang Tian returned home, he was extremely frustrated. He had been waiting for Zhao Xueqing to come back, and he was also thinking about everything that had happened today. His understanding of the world was too simple. Just having strength wasn't enough. He had to convert his strength into wealth and power. If he was still a VIP of the Tang family and had the support of the Tang family, what could the Lu family do to him? Unfortunately, he had fallen out with the Tang family. If he were to ask them for help now, where would he put his face? He waited until dawn before Zhao Xueqing came back. Her eyes were red as if she had just cried. Xueqing, you cried. Are you all right? Jiang Tian brewed a cup of chrysanthemum tea and brought it over. Jiang Tian, let's divorce? Zhao Xueqing took a sip of tea and suppressed her emotions. What? Divorce? Why? Jiang Tian was dumbfounded as if he had been struck by lightning. In his previous life, Zhao Xueqing had never thought of leaving him even during the most difficult times, even when she was threatened by Lu Wangfeng. Why else? You're crazy and stupid. You can't do anything right. I'm afraid I'll have to suffer for the rest of my life if I stay with you, Zhao Xueqing said coldly. She lamented in her heart. Jiang Tian, don't blame me. I'm divorcing you because of you. Otherwise, the Lu family won't let you off. Xueqing, believe me. I'll make you happy. Jiang Tian was in disbelief. The Zhao Xueqing in front of him was too unfamiliar. It was as if she had become a different person. Jiang Tian, that's enough. I won't trust you anymore. Don't drag me down. After the divorce, I'll fall in love, remarry, have children, and have a happy family. But that has nothing to do with you. The house was bought by your parents. It belongs to you. Here's 1 million. Take it as your compensation. Hurry up and sign the divorce agreement. Zhao Xueqing's face was frosty. She took out a stack of documents and a bank card and placed them on the coffee table. Then she got up and went into the bedroom. Jiang Tian sat there dumbfounded. He couldn't believe it and his heart was filled with bitterness. He originally thought that he would be able to protect Zhao Xueqing for the rest of her life. He didn't expect that after just a few days, the two of them would be divorcing. Watching the love turn bad, watching the love in a daze, I can't give you the future, but I'll give you the present. Ending quietly is also another kind of treatment. When the tears flow, the pain is overloaded. Separating is also another kind of understanding. The last love I'll give you is to let go. Don't want a double bed with an ocean in between. The stain in our relationship is left to time to slowly wash away. In the distance, Li Xingjie's Let Go drifted over from an unknown KTV. That familiar melody was filled with sorrow and determination. Jiang Tian picked up a pen and felt that it was extremely heavy. He stood there in a daze. In just a few minutes, it felt like a century had passed. After signing his name, with this agreement, the thin feelings between the two of them disappeared. From then on, they became strangers. Yeah, in her eyes, I'm a lunatic, a scumbag. I'm a burden to her. She must be very tired. Besides, the reason why the Lu family suppressed the Zhao family was also because of the instigation of the major families in Jinling. Maybe if I leave her, Jinling and the Lu family will give up on the Zhao family. Maybe, like the song says, the last love is to let go. Jiang Tian's heart was in a mess. In the end, he flipped to the last page of the agreement and slowly signed his name on the divorce agreement. At this time, Zhao Xueqing was curled up in bed like a helpless baby. She suppressed the surging sadness and tears fell like rain. Jiang Tian, although our relationship is not very good, I have never thought of abandoning you for my own happiness. I have always been looking forward to your improvement, looking forward to you becoming a good husband. It's just that if I don't divorce you, the Lu family will not let you go. You will go to prison. Jiang Tian, I'm sorry. The next morning, Zhao Xueqing woke up and went to the living room. She saw the signed agreement but the bank card was gone. She suddenly stood there for a long time. Her heart was filled with disappointment and sadness. As expected, Jiang Tian was a greedy person. For 1 million he was willing to divorce. Chapter 29. The next morning, Zhao Xueqing woke up and went to the living room. She saw the signed agreement, but the bank card was gone. She stood there for a long time, feeling disappointed and sad. Sure enough, Jiang Tian was greedy for money. He was willing to divorce for 1 million yuan. Xueqing, wait a minute. The food will be ready soon. Jiang Tian was busy in the kitchen. After a while, the food was served. As she ate her delicious breakfast, there was a moment when Zhao Xueqing wondered if Jiang Tian had completely recovered, or if his craziness was all an act. But thinking of Jiang Tian's crazy beating, Zhao Xueqing shuddered. If he had recovered, how could he be so crazy? After the meal, Zhao Xueqing said, Jiang Tian, let's go to work. I'm not going. Jiang Tian shook his head. He decided to speed up his cultivation during this period of time and investigate Lu Yunhai and Wu Chaohui's residence to eliminate the source of trouble. This way, even if he left Zhao Xueqing, she would not be a threat in Linzhou. Then, he would be able to step on the road of cultivation and return to his peak state as soon as possible. Oh, then be careful at home. Don't run around. Zhao Xueqing's eyes lost focus. She was not used to going to work without Jiang Tian. When are you going to file for divorce? Jiang Tian asked. I'm a bit busy these days. Let's wait until Friday. I still have to find a place to live. I'll move out on Friday. Zhao Xueqing left the Times mansion as if she was escaping. After Zhao Xueqing left, Jiang Tian called Zhou Zhenghao with the home phone. Help me investigate where these two people live and their activities. Master Kong, what is it? Lu Wangfeng Wuchaohui. Hearing these two names, Zhou Zhenghao felt a chill in his heart. The two of them were considered first-rate young masters in Linzhou. They had powerful backgrounds and were even more powerful than him. What was Jiang Tian trying to do? However, he did not dare to ask. He took on the responsibility and said, Master Kong, don't worry. I will definitely investigate this thoroughly. Call this number when you're done with your investigation. Jiang Tian hung up the phone and immediately sat cross-legged in meditation, swallowing the foundation elixir. The surging medicinal power rose up in his qi sea with a boom, as if a nuclear explosion had occurred. It hurts. Jiang Tian's face contorted in pain. Cold sweat rolled down his face as he let out a muffled groan. However, he gritted his teeth and persevered. With Lu Yunhai's influence, it was normal for him to have bodyguards armed with guns. Jiang Tian was currently in the second layer of body tempering stage. He could not take small-caliber firearms head-on. He had to break through to qi refining stage before he could move. As Jiang Tian circulated the primal chaos creation technique, the surging medicinal strength transformed into strands of true essence that flowed along his meridians and poured into his various apertures, nourishing his tendons, bones, and muscles, causing him to become extremely strong. Jiang Tian did not expect the medicinal power of these precious herbs to be so pure and effective. It seemed that there was hope for him to break through to the second layer of qi refining stage. 5 hours passed in the blink of an eye. In the afternoon, the true origin in Jiang Tian's body increased at a frightening rate. However, Jiang Tian soon felt that something was wrong. When his true origin reached the peak of body tempering stage, it stopped advancing. Moreover, the scorching aura began to burn his meridians and acupoints. His skin began to crack and seep out blood. This is bad. This is the rhythm of qi deviation. Jiang Tian felt waves of intense pain in his meridians. Even his sea of qi felt like it was going to explode. He was shocked. In a moment of desperation, Jiang Tian bit his finger. With a puff, blood spurted out like an arrow. Looks like I can't be too hasty next time. Otherwise, the great Taichu Celestial Venerable would die from qi deviation at the body tempering stage. That would be the biggest joke. Feeling that his sea of qi had calmed down, Jiang Tian rejoiced. Fortunately, he was quick-witted. Otherwise, he would be in trouble. This energy cultivation pill used 300-year-old ginseng, a Chinese knotweed, and a 9-tune sealwort. The medicinal power was too strong. All medicines were poisonous. These were all great medicines. Their medicinal properties were very strong and ferocious. Not to mention a weak person, even a strong man would bleed from all 7 orifices and die if he ate all of them in one go. He was in a hurry to get rid of the Lu family. His body tempering stage was not stable at all. His meridians were not strong enough, and his flesh was not strong enough. He could not bear the medicinal power. When the burning sensation in his meridians subsided slightly, Jiang Tian hurriedly circulated his energy to stop the bleeding. After losing a lot of blood, Jiang Tian found that he had successfully reached the peak of body tempering stage. Moreover, there were still many medicinal properties left in his blood. If he continued to cultivate, he should be able to reach the qi refinement stage. Suddenly, his phone rang. It was a call from Zhou Zhenghao, who reported the two's residence and daily activities to Jiang Tian in detail. Good. Thank you for your hard work. A cold light flashed in Jiang Tian's eyes. Lu Yunhai Wuchaohui, just you wait. I will make sure you die without a burial place. Master Kong, do you have any other instructions? Zhou Zhenghao asked. How about this? Help me find a few high-quality jade stones and a few carving knives. He took the money and signed the receipt. He stuffed the receipt into his backpack and walked away slowly. For the next few days, Jiang Tian focused on cultivating. When he was not cultivating, he would inscribe protective talismans on the pieces of jade. Every afternoon, he would go to the blood collection station to donate his blood so that the medicine in his body would be just right. Soon, he broke through to the second level of qi refining. In the blink of an eye, it was Friday. Zhao Xueqing was about to go to work when Jiang Tian opened the door and walked in. Xueqing, it's time to go through the divorce procedures today. Do you have time? Zhao Xueqing felt bitter. Could it be that you can't wait to divorce? Do you hate me so much that you don't have any reluctance? Or is it because of the compensation of 1 million yuan? I accompanied you for a few years and took care of you for a few years. What did I get in return? She took a deep breath and calmed her agitated emotions. She said coldly, "Let's go. I've been waiting for this day for a long time." On the way to the Civil Affairs Bureau, Zhao Xueqing's car broke down again. She had to call a tow truck to pull it to the 4S shop. After fixing the car and paying the bill, Zhao Xueqing realized that there was no money in her card. She frowned and said, "Jiang Tian, can you lend me 2,000 yuan?" You need money? Jiang Tian was stunned. He didn't plan to take the 1 million yuan in his card, so he didn't withdraw it. Now, he only had 2,000 yuan in nutrition fees from donating blood. With Zhou Zhenghao taking care of him, he didn't need money. Seeing Jiang Tian hesitate, Zhao Xueqing was furious. Was there no love between husband and wife after the divorce? He couldn't even bear to part with 2,000 yuan. These days, she was especially annoyed. Lu Wangfeng called her time and time again to harass her, but she couldn't do anything. She said angrily, "Jiang Tian, I gave you 1 million yuan. The interest for these few days should be 2,000 yuan, right? You're too stingy and cold-blooded." "Okay, I'll give it to you." Jiang Tian raised his hands and surrendered. He took out 2,000 yuan from his bag and handed it to Zhao Xueqing. Zhao Xueqing was extremely disappointed with Jiang Tian. She hated him to the core and didn't even bother to say another word. After fixing the car, they left the 4S shop and arrived at the Civil Affairs Bureau. Zhao Xueqing quickly walked to the counter and handed the divorce agreement over. The auntie looked at it and frowned. "Miss, are you sure about the division of property? Why does the house belong to the man?" "Thank you, auntie. There's no problem with this." Zhao Xueqing sighed in her heart. It wasn't just a house. She even had to pay him 1 million yuan. Marriage certificate, household register. The auntie looked at Jiang Tian with disgust. Seeing how docile and well-behaved this lass was, she definitely wouldn't have cheated on her husband. The reason for the divorce should be because of emotional discord or the man's domestic violence. As a man, you actually let your wife leave with nothing? Aren't you embarrassed? You're too greedy and heartless. You still need a marriage certificate? Zhao Xueqing was embarrassed. Of course, the marriage certificate has to be cancelled after the divorce. The auntie handed the agreement back and said meaningfully, "Miss, go back and get the certificate. Then, you can carefully consider the division of property." "Then, let's go back and get the certificate," Jiang Tian said. After dealing with the divorce, he wanted to make a move on Lu Wangfeng. "Jiang Tian, you can't wait any longer?" Zhao Xueqing was so angry that her body trembled. She could no longer control her emotions. Her head was dizzy and her vision turned black. She fell down. Chapter 30. "Xueqing, what's wrong with you?" Jiang Tian cried out in surprise and hurriedly hugged her. A refreshing fragrance wafted into his nose, as if a warm and fragrant jade was in his arms. However, Jiang Tian wasn't in the mood to appreciate it. He quickly carried Zhao Xueqing into the car and drove back to the Times mansion. On the way, Jiang Tian checked on Zhao Xueqing's condition. Her body was weak and anemic. It seemed like she didn't take the small revitalizing pill. "After taking the small revitalizing pill, I'll help her tidy up her meridians and cleanse her bones so that she won't fall sick again." Jiang Tian didn't stop there. He helped Zhao Xueqing tidy up her meridians, cleanse her bones, replenish her vitality, and strengthen her body. After feeding Zhao Xueqing the small revitalizing pill, Jiang Tian took off her shirt and let her sit cross-legged behind her. He placed his hands on her back and channeled his ethereal force into her body to help her refine the pill. However, Jiang Tian gradually realized that he wasn't strong enough to refine all the pills and unblock all her meridians. Soon, it was 1 o'clock in the morning. Jiang Tian suddenly heard a strange noise coming from outside the courtyard. Jiang Tian's heart skipped a beat. He activated his third eye and sneered, "Lu Wangfeng, Wu Chaohui, I was just about to look for you guys. I didn't expect you guys to come here first. Young Master Lu, nothing will happen if we just kill Jiang Tian, right?" Under the shade of a tree outside the villa, Wu Chaohui was in an off-road vehicle with a Shijiang license plate. There are no surveillance cameras in this area. Besides, Jin Ling will take care of everything. Lu Wangfeng's eyes flashed with a murderous aura. His arm was broken and his face was slapped by Jiang Tian. It was a great humiliation. He couldn't take it. Today, he must kill Jiang Tian. That Jiang Tian is a little strange. I hired 2 fighters from Starlight, but they both failed. Moreover, Conk was also heavily injured by him. Wu Chaohui was still a little worried. I get angry when you mention this. Didn't you say that he had alcohol poisoning? I think it's normal. Lu Wangfeng said angrily. Impossible, he must have been poisoned. Besides, if he wasn't crazy, would he dare to attack you? Wu Chaohui argued. It's possible. This guy should have some brute strength, he's definitely not an expert. Lu Wangfeng pondered for a moment and sneered, besides, so what if he's an expert? Can he block the flintlock? The Torvosaurus and cheetah that he had invited this time were both famous assassins in the underworld. They killed without blinking and would definitely not fail. Tu Long said with a gloomy smile, "Young Master Lu, don't worry. I will definitely do it for you." Tu Long and Cheetah got out of the car and jumped over the courtyard wall and opened the door from the inside. Lu Wangfeng and Wu Chaohui also got out of the car and walked into the courtyard. They wanted to see the scene of Jiang Tian being killed with their own eyes. "Young Master Lu, young Master Wu, you came to visit me so late." Suddenly, a faint voice was heard. The door of the villa opened and Jiang Tian walked out slowly with his hands behind his back. "Don't move. If you move again, I will kill you." Tu Long and Cheetah were shocked. They pulled out their pistols and aimed at Jiang Tian. "Young Master Lu, let's talk nicely. I think you don't want Zhao Xueqing to see you kill someone. It's not good to scare her. Let's talk outside, okay?" Jiang Tian said with a smile. "Okay, then you come out with us." Lu Wangfeng quickly calmed down and sneered. He was relieved. In his opinion, no matter how capable Jiang Tian was, they had guns. What tricks could he play? Moreover, he wanted to humiliate Jiang Tian. It was inconvenient here, so it was better to go to a secluded place. "Okay." Jiang Tian nodded his head and closed the door. He then followed them into the car. Wu Chaohui drove the car and soon arrived at the 100-feet cliff in the suburbs. This place was deserted and desolate. It was the perfect place to kill someone. After getting out of the car, Tu Long and Cheetah pointed their pistols at Jiang Tian. Lu Wangfeng's courage suddenly rose. He looked at Jiang Tian with disdain and said with a smug smile, "Jiang Tian, did you have fun beating me up the other day? Do you regret it now?" "I do regret it. I regret that I didn't slap you to death." Jiang Tian stood with his hands behind his back and smiled faintly. "Motherfucker, you're really a lunatic. You're still so stubborn even when you're about to die." Wu Chaohui was instantly enraged. He raised his leg and kicked towards Jiang Tian's stomach. "Hee, you made me drink alcohol and damaged my brain. Fine, I'll smash your head today." Jiang Tian sneered. He raised his hand and slapped Wu Chaohui's head as if he was swatting a fly. Bang! There was a muffled sound. Wu Chaohui's head exploded like a watermelon. Blood splattered everywhere. His skull and brain matter flew in all directions. The headless corpse fell to the ground with a plop and flew far away. Lu Wangfeng screamed in fear. He staggered back. Cold sweat flowed down his face like a stream. After all, he was just a young master from a rich family. Although he was good at deceiving others in the business world, it was his first time seeing such a bloody and cruel scene. He knew that the human skull was the hardest. However, it was smashed into pieces by Jiang Tian's slap. Was he still human? He was a demon. Before Lu Wangfeng could give an order, Torvosaurus and Cheetah opened fire at the same time. They pulled the trigger all the way. Bullets were shot out as if they were free. Fortunately, we hired assassins. The 2 million was well spent. If we hired some ordinary thugs, we'd be finished today. Lu Wangfeng smiled proudly when he saw the two of them open fire. These are modern weapons. Who can resist them? He seemed to be able to see Jiang Tian bleeding and his brain being smashed. He could almost see the tragic scene of Jiang Tian dying. However, what happened next scared Lu Wangfeng out of his wits. He sat on the ground and was almost scared to death. Jiang Tian raised his hand and waved. A faint golden light shield appeared in front of him. Outside the light shield, dozens of bronze bullets were suspended in the air. Although it was spinning non-stop and creating circles of ripples in the surroundings, it was unable to push forward at all. Even a gun can't kill him. He's a martial artist. He can release his true chi and condense it into energy. He's a martial arts master. Torvosaurus and Cheetah were so shocked that their faces turned pale. They were in deep despair. The two of them had killed countless people and were famous internationally. They were ruthless people. However, it was their first time meeting such a terrifying existence. Chi refining stage. I'm not afraid of bullets. Jiang Tian raised his hand and picked up the bullets suspended in the air. He sighed leisurely. Master Kong, we surrender. Please spare our lives. Torvosaurus and Cheetah trembled. They were about to kneel and beg for mercy. However, it was too late. Jiang Tian was merciless. He raised his hand and a few bullets were shot out at a speed faster than the speed of a barrel. Blood danced in the air as the bullets penetrated their bodies. Jiang Tian, please spare my life. I'm willing to be your slave for the rest of my life. I'm willing to be your dog. Lu Wangfeng could no longer control the fear in his heart. He knelt on the ground and kowtowed as if he was pounding garlic with his head. I can't believe that you've lost all your killing intent and have become a pet. Looking at the enemy from his previous life kneeling and begging for mercy like a loyal dog, Jiang Tian was delighted. Yes. You're my grandfather. I don't want to have an unfilial descendant like you. I was wrong. You're my master. I'm willing to be your loyal dog and follow you for the rest of my life. If you have any orders, I won't hesitate. The pungent smell of blood wafted over. Lu Wangfeng thought that he might die an unnatural death. He felt cold all over and spoke with a sobbing tone. Unfortunately, when my sword is unsheathed, it will always return with fresh blood. I'm not here to scare kids. Jiang Tian pulled out a tactical dagger from Torvosaurus and approached him with his hands behind his back. He sneered and said, "And you, Lu Wangfeng, are just an ant. How are you qualified to be my dog? Please don't do this." Lu Wangfeng used his knees to move back step by step, but Jiang Tian still grabbed his neck and lifted him up like an eagle grabbing a chick. He immediately realized that his death was imminent. His pale face became even paler. His face was filled with fear and he kept begging. In your previous life, when Xueqing was begging for mercy in front of you, did you ever think of letting her go? In your previous life, when you broke Shenli's legs, did you ever think of letting him off? In this life, you poisoned and assassinated. Didn't you also treat other people's lives as ants? The heavens are clear, and retribution is not good. Since you think that you have the ability to cover the sky with one hand, be arrogant and despotic, treat other people's lives as grass, and make the law become a toy in your hands, then I'll let you see what is called true ruthlessness. I'll use the butcher's knife in my hand to cut open your flesh and use your blood to wash away the humiliation of that life. I'll use your blood to pay tribute to my friends who died in that life. Jiang Tian's eyes were cold. With a flip of his hand, the dagger that shone with a cold light directly slashed between Lu Wangfeng's legs. Such. Ah! Lu Wangfeng screamed in pain. His crotch was covered in blood, and his manhood fell to the ground. This is the price you have to pay for insulting Xueqing in your previous life. Jiang Tian's eyes were cold, like a demon looking down at an ant. Jiang, how dare you treat me like this? Aren't you afraid of being punished by the law? Behind me are the 3 big families of Jinling. Lu Wangfeng threatened in a moment of desperation. This was his only chance. Perhaps the 3 big families of Jinling could scare off Jiang Tian. Hee, if the family heads of the 3 families were in front of me, I would have killed them already. Jiang Tian's eyes were filled with contempt. He twisted Lu Wangfeng's neck and broke it. Crack! Lu Wangfeng fell to the ground. His neck bent into a strange angle, and he was dead. Lin Zhou's first-tier young master, the Lu family's crown prince, the first successor, Lu Wangfeng, dead. His eyes were still wide open, as if he couldn't believe that he died in such a tragic way. Jiang Tian loaded the 4 corpses into the off-road vehicle. After that, Jiang Tian kicked the off-road vehicle into the abyss below the cliff. At the same time, he shot out a fireball talisman, and the vehicle instantly burst into flames. Even if the police found out, they would think that it was a car accident, or that Torvosaurus and Lu Wangfeng were robbers and murderers. Jiang Tian sneered and walked down the mountain. Jiang Tian used 1,000 miles godly travel talisman on his legs, and his speed was extremely fast. Soon, he arrived at the city and headed toward the Lu family's mansion. Wu Chaohui and Lu Wangfeng deserved to die, but their parents were no exception. The 2 of them had committed heinous crimes in their previous lives, but their parents didn't teach them anything. Instead, they condoned and protected them. Jiang Tian even suspected that the family heads of the Lu and Wu families had supported the 2 of them from the beginning to form an alliance with Jinling, and helped to plan or execute it. They had to pay the price in blood. Chapter 31. Sigh, I wonder if Wang Feng and Xiaohui's plan will succeed. In the living room of the Lu family mansion, the head of the Lu family and the head of the Wu family were having a discussion. Their wives were also present. Brother, don't worry. That Jiang Tian has already been poisoned by Xiaohui and turned into a lunatic. Wu Xiaohui's mother said. He was originally an ignorant and incompetent piece of trash. How can he be compared to our son? That's right. His brain is damaged. He's at the mercy of others. There's no way he can win. The 4 of them drank the fragrant tea and laughed wantonly together. As expected, Jiang Tian had guessed correctly. As soon as he reached the Lu family mansion, he heard the 4 of them talking so arrogantly. In my previous life, you poisoned his brain and turned him into a lunatic. It's not too much to return it to you. Jiang Tian's eyes were cold. He quickly killed the 5 armed bodyguards and killed his way into the living room. However, Jiang Tian did not kill them all this time. He only injured the heads of the 4 people, turning them into complete idiots. Sometimes, killing people was not the best way to vent hatred. Wouldn't it be better to let them live miserably like dogs or beggars? After doing all this, Jiang Tian took away a few valuable items and messed up the house. He pretended to be fighting for money and left the mansion in a hurry. In the process of escaping, Jiang Tian purposely used a secret technique to let the mansion's surveillance camera capture the side of his face after changing his appearance. Then he flew out and dodged all the surveillance cameras. In the blink of an eye, he disappeared into the dark night. It was already 2 o'clock in the morning when he returned to the mansion. Jiang Tian felt refreshed after getting his revenge. Zhao Xueqing was still unconscious. Jiang Tian changed into a new set of clothes and went to the bedroom to continue conditioning Zhao Xueqing's body. One by one, he pierced Zhao Xueqing's major acupuncture points. Jiang Tian's ethereal force flowed through the silver needles and into her body as if it was free. It became a supreme nourishment. Why is this girl's physique so strange? Could it be the legendary physique? But to Jiang Tian's surprise, Zhao Xueqing's body seemed to be incomparably hollow. When he poured in his true essence, it was like a clay ox entering the sea, immediately disappearing. After a long period of true essence output, Jiang Tian felt extremely weak. Steam rose from his body, and hot sweat flowed down his body. It was as if he had taken a hot bath, and his body was on the verge of collapse. Even if his body is weak, he shouldn't be this weak. Jiang Tian took off the clothes that were in the way and felt puzzled. Logically speaking, with Jiang Tian's current cultivation, it was still insufficient for him to smoothly complete the bone marrow cleansing of Zhao Xueqing. But he was too worried about Zhao Xueqing's body. Jiang Tian only had one thought in his mind: even if he had to cripple all of his cultivation, he had to cure this poor girl. One by one, the silver needles pierced into Jiang Tian's sea of qi. He could only use acupuncture to stimulate his cultivation, boil his blood, and forcibly use it. This kind of secret technique was also very harmful to Jiang Tian's cultivation, but Jiang Tian simply couldn't care about anything else at this time. Ha! Jiang Tian let out a roar like a wild beast, and the meridians all over his body swelled, and blue veins appeared. His eyes flashed with a red light, and finally became crimson red. And the last strand of true essence that was scattered in his body also gathered in his sea of qi, and majestically rushed out. At this time, Jiang Tian's pair of flesh palms actually turned red in an instant, showing a strange translucent state, and the finger bones were clearly visible. Done! After another hard work, Jiang Tian felt that Zhao Xueqing's meridians and acupoints were all opened, and the impurities were also expelled. His heart relaxed, but he spat out a mouthful of blood, leaving streaks of red on the bed, like the blooming of winter plum blossoms, which was a ghastly sight. Then, Jiang Tian's head became dizzy, and his vision turned black. Like a towering tree that was cut in half, he fainted on the bed. The sky was bright, and Zhao Xueqing woke up in a daze, rubbing her aching head. She only remembered that she fainted and was carried into the car by Jiang Tian. After that, she couldn't remember anything else. When she opened her eyes, she saw Jiang Tian lying on her body, almost naked, and the bed was stained with blood. Jiang, you beast, what did you do to me? Zhao Xueqing felt as if she had fallen into an ice cave, and her whole body was cold. She suddenly sat up and kicked Jiang Tian awake. You're awake, how do you feel? Jiang Tian woke up, raised his head with difficulty, and smiled weakly. How do I feel? How can I feel? You beast, we're already divorced, and you still want to take advantage of me. You're forcing me. Zhao Xueqing put on her pajamas and jumped off the bed as if she was avoiding snakes and scorpions. She pointed at Jiang Tian and screamed angrily, You're not human. Do you want my whole life to be ruined by your hands? Haven't you harmed me enough? Xueqing, don't misunderstand, I was just helping you recuperate. Look, there are still silver needles. Jiang Tian got up with difficulty, put on his shirt, and pointed at the silver needles on the bed. You shameless bastard, do you think I'll believe your nonsense? Zhao Xueqing didn't listen, and picked up a baseball bat, and viciously smashed it at Jiang Tian's head. Jiang Tian tilted his head, and the baseball bat hit his chin. Now that he was extremely weak, even a 7- or 8-year-old child could push him down, let alone an adult. Jiang Tian's body tilted, and his head knocked against the corner of the bedside table. He felt a warm stream of blood flowing down his chin, and he raised his hand to touch a handful of blood. Seeing the blood, Zhao Xueqing was frightened, and didn't say anything. She only held the baseball bat with both hands, afraid that Jiang Tian would go crazy and hit her again. Jiang Tian saw that her face was pale from fright, and his heart was filled with sorrow and pain. In her eyes, he was still that scum. He supported himself against the wall and stood up, and said with a silly smile, Xueqing, don't be nervous, I won't hurt you. Hurry up and scram. Zhao Xueqing was on guard, afraid that Jiang Tian would come again with bad intentions. Right, this is a protective jade talisman, you must wear it often, and it can protect you for life. Jiang Tian took out a jade talisman bracelet and handed it to Zhao Xueqing. I don't want your dirty things. Zhao Xueqing grabbed the jade talisman bracelet, broke it, and threw the jade beads into the trash outside the door. I've consulted a lawyer, and with the divorce agreement, I don't have to be there to sign it, and you can get the divorce certificate. I'm leaving and I won't bother you anymore. Jiang Tian bitterly laughed, and holding onto the wall, he walked out step by step, and his hand left a shocking bloody handprint on the wall. Jiang Tian? Zhao Xueqing muttered in a daze. She didn't even know why she called his name. Was it because she was reluctant to part with him? But how was that possible? But at this moment, she felt that Jiang Tian's back was so lonely, bleak and lonely. In the time she was in a daze, Jiang Tian had already disappeared from the door, and when she walked out, she didn't see Jiang Tian's figure. He's gone, he's finally gone, but why am I not happy at all? Zhao Xueqing sat on the sofa and burst into tears. It took her a lot of effort to calm down. Zhao Xueqing carefully felt her body, and she didn't feel any discomfort. Instead, she felt energetic and refreshed. Did he not hurt me, and was really treating me? Looking at the scattered silver needles on the bed, Zhao Xueqing was suspicious. But then she shook her head. How is that possible? He's ignorant and doesn't know anything about medicine. Zhao Xueqing drove to Zhao's pharmaceutical factory, and just as she arrived at the office, she heard Zhou Liwen say, "Professor Li is back, he just came downstairs. Ask him to come to my office." Zhao Xueqing rubbed her temples. Jiang Tian's matter gave her a headache, and there seemed to be some unsolved mysteries. "There's no need to invite me, I'm already here." A tired voice sounded, and Professor Li pushed the door open and entered. Professor Li was a Chinese medicine professor at Yanjing Pharmaceutical University, and he was also a Changjiang scholar. He was famous in the country, and he was also the laboratory director hired by Zhao's pharmaceutical factory. He wore a pair of gold-rimmed glasses, a tang suit, and soft-soled cloth shoes. He had an elegant temperament, and he had the demeanor of a scholar. "Professor Li, please take a seat, Xiao Zhou will make tea." Zhao Xueqing asked Professor Li to sit on the sofa with a happy face. "Miss Zhao, I'm sorry, I've been in seclusion for a week, and I'm afraid I can't help with the improvement of the muscle-nourishing ointment. I can't solve the problem of the side effects." Professor Li sat up straight and said to Zhao Xueqing with a regretful face, "Professor Li, are you kidding me?" Zhao Xueqing was surprised. "You've already tested the improved prescription." "That's impossible. There are still problems with the modified prescription. The side effects are still there." Professor Li couldn't help but smile bitterly. "Although I don't want to admit it, I've been thinking about it carefully these days. There are 2 herbs in this prescription that are fundamentally conflicting. I can't improve them, so I can only start over." "Professor Li, look, this prescription is really successful." Zhao Xueqing handed over a thick stack of documents, including the experimental plan and the results. Yes, it's all correct. Why didn't I think of this?" Professor Li flipped through the information and was stunned. Suddenly, his face became extremely excited as he exclaimed, "This prescription is simply perfect." "Professor Li, isn't this your plan?" Zhao Xueqing and Zhou Liwen looked at each other, not knowing what was going on. I see. I understand now." Suddenly, Professor Li slapped his thigh and shouted excitedly, which shocked Zhao Xueqing and the others. Professor Li quickly finished reading the experimental plan and stood up. He grabbed Zhao Xueqing's shoulder and said excitedly, "Miss Zhao, who was the one who made this prescription? You must introduce him to me. This person's understanding of Chinese medicine is so profound that it's at the peak of perfection. I want to be his disciple." Zhao Xueqing felt a sharp pain in her shoulder and said in a trembling voice, "Professor Li, didn't you make this prescription?" No, I didn't make this. I should say that these printed parts were done by me, but the handwritten part was not written by me. Could it be him?" Zhao Xueqing's head was buzzing and her face was pale. She suddenly remembered that morning, Jiang Tian was holding the experimental document and seemed to be writing and drawing. Could it be that he was the one who modified the prescription? However, he was crazy. How could he have medical skills? This was too strange. Professor Li said eagerly, "Miss Zhao, who is this expert? Tell me quickly." Chapter 32. Professor Li, I'm sorry. My friend is a loner and doesn't like to socialize. Zhao Xueqing could only shirk the responsibility. Also, he's not in Linzhou recently, and I've lost contact with him. That's too bad. Hearing this, Professor Li felt as if a bucket of cold water had been poured over him. He sat down on the ground and hung his head dejectedly. Professor Li, can this prescription be mass-produced now? Zhou Liwen interrupted and asked. Of course. Just produce according to this prescription. I guarantee that there won't be any problems. Professor Li exclaimed in admiration. The person who can make this prescription must be a genius in the field of medicine. He must have a perfect grasp of the medicinal properties of the medicine. It can be said that in the whole of Wuxia, there are only a handful of people who can reach this level. Unfortunately, I don't have the chance to see it. That's great. Zhou Liwen was excited. Suddenly, Zhao Xueqing's heart skipped a beat. She took out a medicine bottle from her bag and found the small revitalizing pill. She said, Professor Li, this pill was also made by him. What do you think? Although he was far away, Professor Li could already smell a refreshing fragrance. He found a pair of rubber gloves and put them on. He carefully took it in his hand and looked at it carefully. This is not an ordinary pill. It's an elixir. Suddenly, Professor Li trembled with excitement and said in a trembling voice, What, elixir? Zhao Xueqing was puzzled. Yes, elixir. This is an elixir. Professor Li was so excited that he almost burst into tears. He said in a trembling voice, Alchemy refers to the creation and application of the method of heating and refining medicine since the Warring States period. We are the earliest in the world. Medicinal pills seize the power of heaven and earth. Consuming them can cure all diseases and strengthen the body. It can even make one immortal and become immortal. Qin Shi Huang was obsessed with it his whole life. When Gu Hong reached the peak in the Eastern Jin dynasty, it was said that Gu Hong swallowed an elixir and became an immortal. Although this elixir doesn't reach the legendary peak effect, it's definitely a real elixir. I never thought that I would be able to see a real medicinal pill in my lifetime. Professor Li was so excited that he beat his chest and stamped his feet. I was wrong. I was so wrong. Zhao Xueqing was stunned, and her scalp went numb. She could now confirm that Jiang Tian was not crazy, or that he had indeed recovered. He seemed to have really been treating her injuries last night. The blood and sweat must have been left behind by him. Professor Li left. For the whole morning, Zhao Xueqing felt lost. She frowned. She had too many mysteries. In the afternoon, the secretary suddenly knocked on the door and entered. Director Zhao, a lady named Lu Yiting is here to see you. She says she's Jiang Tian's classmate. Let her in. Zhao Xueqing's delicate body suddenly trembled. Perhaps he had news of Jiang Tian. Hello, Michelle. I'm the boss of Beautiful Heaven, Lu Ti. The moment Lu Yiting saw Zhao Xueqing, she immediately exclaimed in her heart. This woman was too beautiful. Lu Yiting was confident that her appearance was first class, but compared to Zhao Xueqing, she was still far behind. How did you find me? Zhao Xueqing asked. Oh, I'm Jiang Tian's classmate. We had a class reunion a few days ago. He didn't have a phone, so he left your phone number. Lu Yiting said, I came here to ask and found out that it was yours. The reason I came to find Jiang Tian is to express my gratitude. Thank him for what? Zhao Xueqing asked absent-mindedly. Jiang Tian's silly, flattering smile kept floating in front of her, and she couldn't get rid of it. He gave me a prescription. Who would have thought that after I tested it, the effect was amazing? When I went to apply for a patent, someone said that this prescription was worth at least tens of millions. Lu Yiting said excitedly. According to Jiang Tian's prescription, after the customers used the medicine, their skin immediately became like a new life. Now the beauty shops sold millions of membership cards every day. They walked out of the predicament and soared into the sky. He's better, so he's really better, but I drove him away. Zhao Xueqing's pretty face twisted. She didn't know whether to laugh or cry. What? You drove Jiang Tian out? Jiang Tian is so good, how can you do this? Lu Yiting suddenly became angry. I'm sorry, it's my fault. Zhao Xueqing's eyes were red, and her eyes were empty. Lu Yiting smiled a little unnaturally and said, Miss Zhao, where is Jiang Tian? This prescription is too precious. I want to give half of the beauty shop's shares to him and run it together. It's just that I don't have his contact information at all. I can't find him, so I can only come to you. Where is he? Since the last time she parted with Jiang Tian, Lu Yiting couldn't forget about Jiang Tian. He brought too much shock to Lu Yiting. Moreover, she recalled that when she was by Jiang Tian's side, she always had a kind of fresh and happy feeling, and especially felt at ease, so she couldn't wait to see Jiang Tian. How would I know where he is? He said that he left and will never come back. Zhao Xueqing's heart was sorrowful, and her eyes were red, but she didn't cry. However, feeling Lu Yiting's closeness to Jiang Tian, Zhao Xueqing suddenly felt a sense of crisis, and also a sense of pride. She raised her head and firmly said, Jiang Tian is not here right now. Actually, I am Jiang Tian's lover, didn't he tell you? So that's the case. Lu Yiting's heart trembled, and she forced a smile and said, no wonder that day when we wanted to ask him to stay and talk for a while, he only wanted to go home to accompany you, afraid that you would be angry. She was a little embarrassed. She actually revealed her feelings for Jiang Tian in front of his wife. He only wants to go home to accompany me? Afraid that I would be angry? Zhao Xueqing listened in a daze, and her heart actually felt warm. It was as if he could suddenly receive a call from Jiang Tian and hear that familiar voice, wife, I'll go home right away. He's afraid that I would be angry? I'm very scary in his heart? Zhao Xueqing muttered to herself, and suddenly burst out laughing. This guy must have let it slip. But after laughing, he suddenly remembered that he had scolded Jiang Tian these past few days. He even hit him on the head this morning. Did he go to the hospital to bandage his head? Would there be any sequelae? Miss Zhao, I'll be leaving first. When Jiang Tian comes back, I'll have to trouble you to pass on my gratitude to him. Seeing that Zhao Xueqing was absent-minded, Lu Yiting felt a little awkward, so she got up and left. At night, Zhao Xueqing returned to the Times mansion. When she opened the door, she did not see Jiang Tian's familiar figure. Suddenly, there was a series of urgent knocks on the door. Zhao Qianru said with a face full of joy, Sis, there's great news. What great news? Zhao Xueqing said listlessly. Lu Wangfeng and Wu Chaohui's house was robbed, and their parents were beaten into a vegetative state. The two of them were held hostage by two wanted criminals, and they fell off the cliff. Their car caught fire and burned to death. Zhao Qianru said excitedly, This is great. Lu Wangfeng will never have the chance to harass you again. Oh, Lu Wangfeng is dead. Zhao Xueqing felt relieved, but when she thought about Jiang Tian leaving, she did not feel happy at all. At this time, the doorbell suddenly rang, and Zhao Xueqing quickly went to open the door. Two policemen came in and asked, Miss Zhao, did you hear anything at 1 o'clock in the morning yesterday? No, what's wrong? Zhao Xueqing did not understand. Oh, it's like this. Yesterday, two robbers took two hostages and drove near your residence. The policeman smiled and said, We were worried that they might have committed other crimes, so we came over to investigate. Since they didn't, it's best. But please be careful and lock the doors and windows. The policeman left, but for some reason, Zhao Xueqing felt uneasy. Suddenly, she ran to a utility room upstairs, turned on the video surveillance, and played it in fast-forward mode. The camera was facing the door, and suddenly, the scene on the screen almost made Zhao Xueqing scream. Two strong men actually climbed over the wall and opened the door, letting Lu Wangfeng and Wu Chaohui in. Seeing the pistols in their hands, Zhao Xueqing's scalp tingled, and she knew that they were up to no good without thinking. This Lu Wangfeng was too scary, too crazy. Zhao Xueqing was scared. It seemed that Jiang Tian was telling the truth. He might have really poisoned her that time with bad intentions. If Jiang Tian had not stopped him, what kind of tragedy would have happened to her? She really did not dare to think about it. Zhao Xueqing quickly clicked on the mouse to play the video normally. Then, Jiang Tian walked out of the villa and talked to them. After a while, they dragged Jiang Tian out of the villa. Child Lu, let's talk nicely. I think you don't want Zhao Xueqing to see you kill someone, right? It's not good to scare her. Let's talk outside, okay? Hearing Jiang Tian's words, Zhao Xueqing's tears rolled down, and she covered her mouth to suppress her sobs. 2 pistols were pointed at him, and he was in a dangerous situation, but he was still worried about whether he would scare her. They fell off the cliff, but Jiang Tian came back the next day. This must be Jiang Tian's doing. I can't let anyone find out. Zhao Xueqing's heart almost jumped out of her throat. She opened the computer case and removed the hard drive, then found a hammer and smashed the hard drive into pieces. Sis, what are you doing? We were just talking, why did you run away? Zhao Qianru walked in and saw Zhao Xueqing's expression. She immediately supported her and said in shock, Sis, why is your face so scary? You're even sweating so much. Are you sick? I'm fine, help me downstairs. Zhao Xueqing shook her head and gasped for breath. When they arrived downstairs, Zhao Xueqing suddenly had an idea. She found Jiang Tian's backpack and took out a bottle of coconut juice and said, Qianru, go to the company and find an experimenter to do a poison analysis. There's poison in it? What's going on? Zhao Qianru was puzzled. Don't worry about it, hurry up and go. Zhao Xueqing urged. Zhao Qianru quickly left. Zhao Qianru sat on the sofa in a daze, waiting. In only half an hour, Zhao Qianru hurried back. Sis, it's really poisonous. It's called Spanish fly water. It's extremely poisonous. It said that it can make people lose their minds and have the effect of stimulating lust. He's not crazy, he's fine. Zhao Qianru was stunned for a long time, then suddenly burst into tears. He hit Lu Wangfeng to protect me, but I actually treated him as a lunatic. He was trying to protect me. Chapter 33. Sis, why are you crying? Are you talking about brother-in-law? Where is he? Zhao Qianru didn't know the inside story and was completely confused. He's gone. He's never coming back. We were divorced. Zhao Xueqing sobbed. You actually divorced brother-in-law? But, do you know? In order to protect me, Jiang Tian fought with Zhou Zhenghao. Dozens of strong men surrounded him with knives. When Zhao Qianru heard this, she was so angry that her face turned green. He protected me because of you. You let him leave just like that? He hasn't even received his salary and is penniless. How is he going to survive? Auntie gave him 1,000,000 yuan. I think it should be enough for him to live for a while, right? Zhao Xueqing stopped crying and said. At this moment, Zhao Xueqing's phone rang. It was Wei Fong. Xueqing, have you and Jiang Tian gotten a divorce? If it's done, we'll unfreeze that 1,000,000 bank card. What? Was that bank card frozen in the past? Zhao Xueqing asked in surprise. Of course, if he took the money and didn't get a divorce, wouldn't we suffer a huge loss? Wei Fong said disdainfully. It's frozen. Zhao Xueqing threw away her phone and opened Jiang Tian's backpack to search. In Jiang Tian's backpack, there were a few pieces of jade, a carving knife, and some yellow paper and cinnabar. Very quickly, she found the bank card. Holding the bank card, Zhao Xueqing's jade-like hands trembled. She was so ashamed that she wanted to find a hole to hide in. Then, she found a property certificate for the Times mansion, but the owner of the house had already been changed to her name. All along, she had thought that Jiang Tian was a greedy person. The reason why he divorced her was for this 1,000,000 yuan. But in fact, Jiang Tian didn't touch a single cent and even gave her the house. It could be said that he gave her everything. But Jiang Tian didn't have any money, so how did he live these few days? Where did the money come from? Jiang Tian, come back. Zhao Xueqing hugged her backpack, her delicate body trembling. Suddenly, a certificate and several receipts fell to the ground. She picked it up and looked at it. Her head buzzed and her face instantly turned pale. She almost fell to the ground. Blood donation certificate, for nutrition vouchers, 500 each, a total of 2,000. It was exactly the money he used to repair his car. At that time, she had despised him for being stingy and greedy, but he had sold his blood in exchange for that. Sister, what happened to you? Zhao Qianru hurriedly supported Zhao Xueqing and asked with concern. Ugh. Jiang Tian, come back quickly. I don't want money, house, or bracelets. I want you. At this moment, Zhao Xueqing felt as if her heart was being torn into pieces. The world was spinning, and her cries were like the cries of an injured little beast. She clenched the receipts and blood donation certificates tightly, hugged Jiang Tian's backpack, and burst into tears. She cried loudly. Those memories, Jiang Tian's fawning smile, were like clear slides, replaying in front of Zhao Xueqing's eyes. It was so beautiful, yet so heartbreaking. Xueqing, you have to believe me. As long as you check it, you will understand. Alright, don't say any more. I'm so annoyed with you now. You can't do anything right. He beat up Lu Wangfeng to protect himself, but he thought that Lu Wangfeng had gone mad, so he scolded and mocked him. We're going to get a divorce. It's not convenient for me to stay at home. I'll stay at Emperor Club so that you won't bother me. If there's anything, you can find me there. Yes, now that you have 1 million, you're considered rich. Don't you want to enjoy it? Alright, go ahead. He left his bank card and property to her, but she thought that he was greedy for money. Xueqing, don't misunderstand. I was helping you recuperate just now. Look, there are silver needles, you shameless person. Do you think I'll believe your nonsense? In order to treat her, he was so tired that he vomited blood, but she hit him with a baseball bat, causing his head to bleed. By the way, this is a protective jade talisman. You must wear it often. It can protect you for life. I don't want your dirty things. He was penniless and had to sell his blood. He even bought jade to make a bracelet for himself. However, she tore the bracelet into pieces and threw it into the trash can. She even spent 2,000 yuan that he sold his blood for to repair her car. Memories flashed through her mind. Zhao Xueqing felt as if her heart had been hollowed out. She was heartbroken and full of regret. Hot tears rolled down like a broken thread and dripped on the blood donation certificate, blurring the words. At this moment, her phone rang again. It was Wei Fong. Zhao Qianru said, "Sister, pick it up." Zhao Xueqing wiped her tears and picked up the phone. Wei Fong said, "Hurry up and settle the divorce procedures. I will never divorce Jiang Tian." Her voice was cold, like the sound of a sword. Zhao Xueqing had always resigned herself to adversity, but at this moment, she was determined. What? You want a rebel? You don't even listen to your parents' orders. Jiang Tian is just a good-for-nothing, a lunatic. Zhao Huqing's angry voice came through. He's not a good-for-nothing, nor is he a lunatic. In the future, no one is allowed to call him a good-for-nothing or a lunatic. Otherwise, don't blame me for falling out with you. Zhao Xueqing hung up the phone. Zhao Huqing and Wei Fong only used her as a bargaining chip to exchange benefits. That was why they married her to Jiang Tian, a good-for-nothing who had been abandoned by his family. Now that they thought that Jiang Tian had no value, they wanted to sell her again. All these years, no one had ever cared about her life or death. Jiang Tian was powerful enough to take care of an internal force user, but he was not sure if he could defeat a transcendent state warrior, especially a transcendent state warrior. Jiang Tian had returned to Jin City, but he would not be of much help. Therefore, Zhou Zhenghao should focus on increasing his power and gathering his own forces. Halfway through the wine, Jiang Tian suddenly asked, "Boss Zhou, do you know anything about martial arts? Do you know where I can find some resources?" Martial arts is a mysterious existence. I am just an ordinary person. How would I know a real martial artist? Zhou Zhenghao shook his head with a wry smile. He then lowered his voice and said, "However, I do know a good place for cultivation resources. But Snakehead Town in Myanmar. They are preparing for a small Dharma artifact exchange." Zhou Zhenghao said, "Myanmar? That's so far away. How did you get in touch with them?" Jiang Tian asked. "Master Kong, do you know Lord Dragon the Fifth?" Zhou Zhenghao rose to his feet and poured Jiang Tian a cup of Maodai. "I have heard of him." Jiang Tian raised the cup and took a sip. Dragon the Fifth was the king of the underworld in Linzhou City. He was as powerful as the third lord of the Tang family. He owned the Longwei Group, which controlled dozens of nightclubs and a mining company. He had a monopoly on the mining industry in Linzhou City and was worth over 10 billion yuan. Compared to the Black Shark, the famous star splendor in Linzhou City was like an ant. Speaking of which, I am Lord Dragon the Fifth's little brother. I used to be the leader of the Longwei gang. Zhou Zhenghao said sulkily. However, Lord Dragon the Fifth had offended an enemy. This enemy was originally just an ordinary person, but somehow he managed to cultivate into a martial arts expert. He's so powerful that he's unparalleled. He shook his head and sighed. Half a year ago, he challenged Lord Dragon the Fifth and injured a lot of martial arts masters. Even Tiger's arm was broken. Lord Dragon the Fifth felt uneasy, so he went to Snakehead Town in Myanmar. Right now, the entire Dragon Might Association is covered in dirt and grime, losing all face. Snakehead Town is indeed a good place to go. Jiang Tian smirked. Snakehead Town was located at the border between Wuxia and Myanmar. It was a lawless place. Dragon the Fifth had probably gathered some armed forces there to save his life. However, what could he do when he encountered a real martial arts master? That master is very powerful. He defeated Tiger with one move. Zhou Zhenghao exclaimed. Although Tiger is not a martial arts master, he is definitely one of the best fighters in the world. He was able to defeat a few special forces soldiers. It seems that his enemy is quite powerful. Jiang Tian lightly nodded, his gaze deep. Yes, Lord Dragon the Fifth had gathered a lot of heavenly materials and earthly treasures as a reward. He wanted to invite all the martial arts masters in the world to help him kill his enemy. That was why this Dharma artifact exchange was held. In other words, as long as anyone can kill this enemy, those heavenly materials and earthly treasures will belong to that person. Jiang Tian suddenly became interested. Chapter 34. That's right. Zhou Zhenghao nodded. Come with me, Jiang Tian said without hesitation. In fact, Jiang Tian was not interested in the fight for power in Linzhou. It was like watching a bunch of ants fighting over a few grains of rice. However, the case of Lu Wangfeng and Wu Chaohui had not been closed yet. Going to Myanmar could help him hide for a while. Besides, he might even be able to find some heavenly materials and earthly treasures. Great! With Grandmaster Zhang's cultivation, you'll definitely be able to defeat that expert. Zhou Zhenghao said excitedly. This was exactly what he wanted. 3 days later, in Yunnan province, a luxurious imported Mercedes-Benz SUV was speeding along the highway to Snakehead Town. The driver was a seductive woman in a red dress with exquisite makeup. In the back seat, a tall man in branded clothes was chatting with a handsome young man in ordinary clothes. It was Jiang Tian. The Dharma artifact exchange was still a few days away, so Jiang Tian was not in a hurry. He slowly drove south and would get out of the car to have a look at the scenic spots. After 3 days, they finally arrived at Yunnan province. Looking at the beautiful scenery along the way, Jiang Tian's depressed feelings from his divorce with Zhao Xueqing slowly dissipated. The seductive woman driving was Sister Dong Dong. Jiang Tian was also speechless about this. Sister Dong Dong was like a fan meeting her idol when she saw him. She insisted on following him. This time, we're not going to play around. We're going to fight and kill. Maybe someone will die. Blood will be spilled. Zhou Zhenghao warned. Hee, what's there to be afraid of? Master Kong is extremely powerful. Who can defeat him? Your fights are better than Hollywood blockbusters. Sister Dong Dong did not listen to Chen Fan at all. Jiang Tian did not know whether to laugh or cry. However, with Sister Dong Dong taking care of him, Jiang Tian was able to save a lot of trouble. Jiang Tian had always been an aloof person. Zhou Zhenghao was also used to being a hands-off boss. Usually, if there was anything, she would ask Sister Dong Dong to do. Sister Dong Dong was born at the bottom of society and became a celebrity and a professional manager. She was good at welcoming guests, booking hotels, restaurants, choosing scenic spots, and booking tickets. She was very handy, which made Jiang Tian very happy. After the off-road vehicle got off the highway, the road suddenly became bumpy. On both sides were lofty mountains, steep cliffs, towering trees, and vines as thick as a small arm. It was as if they had entered a wild world. Sister Dong Dong's driving skills were very good. From time to time, she would drive the four-wheeled vehicle into the air and sped towards Shitao Ridge. It was already evening when they arrived at Shitu Ridge. This was a border town under the jurisdiction of Myanmar. It was located at the junction of Myanmar, Vietnam, and Wuxia. It had a population of tens of thousands. The buildings were dilapidated, the law and order were chaotic, the crooks were mixed in with the honest folk, casinos were everywhere, and drugs were rampant. Jiang Tian even saw a few children of 7 or 8 years old, bare-chested, running up and down the street with rifles. The off-road vehicle stopped in front of a luxurious manor that was slightly out of place compared to other buildings. The manor had red walls and green tiles. It was antique, richly ornamented, and there was also a 9 dragons wall. Master Kong, this is Dragon Fifth's villa? Zhou Zhenghao got out of the car and bowed to Jiang Tian as he led him in. Brother Hao, you're here. A middle-aged man in a silk shirt greeted them with a happy face while clasping his fists. The man was in his 30s, with a parted hair and a pair of gold-rimmed glasses. He looked elegant and smart. This is Lord Dragon Fifth's eldest son, the general manager of Longwei Group, President Long Gai Tian. Just call him Young Master Long. Zhou Zhenghao explained with a happy face. Young Master Long, this is Master Kong, the new rising star in Linzhou. He's very powerful and has a good relationship with the Tang family. He's also here to help. Master Kong, nice to meet you. Young Master Long shook hands with Jiang Tian, but there was a hint of disdain in his eyes. Jiang Tian was wearing a dirty shirt and old leather shoes. He looked like an ordinary worker. Moreover, his face was a little pale, and he looked like he had no strength to truss a chicken. He didn't have the domineering and murderous aura of the masters he usually saw. Where was the demeanor of a master? Another swindler. Young Master Long sighed in disappointment. As the president of Longwei Group, Long Gai Tian was Dragon Fifth's favorite son. He controlled all the legitimate businesses of Longwei Group and could mobilize billions of funds. Naturally, he was arrogant. In Linzhou, he was a first-tier young master. He was much more famous than Zhou Zhenghao and had a good relationship with the leaders of the city. Why would he care about a nobody like Jiang Tian? He shook hands with Jiang Tian just to give face to Zhou Zhenghao. Why would he care about Jiang Tian? My father has some connections with the military government in Myanmar. These guards were sent by the military government. Walking into the courtyard, young Master Long pointed at a dozen armed soldiers patrolling back and forth and said proudly, "A dozen machine guns. If that guy dares to come, I will make sure he never comes back." Tiskike, I didn't know that Lord Long V was so popular here. Zhou Zhenghao exclaimed. Jiang Tian nodded slightly, but in his mind he sneered. He had been chased away by his enemy, so why would he still want to show off? Moreover, his opponent was a martial arts master. Not to mention that a transcendent state martial artist could withstand small-caliber firearms. Even if his opponent was only an internal force user, with his powerful body movement, these guns were no more than firewood sticks. However, Jiang Tian knew that he should not talk too much, so he didn't point it out. That's nothing. My father has invited a martial arts master this time. He can kill the enemy here. Long Gatian said proudly. Who is it, young Master Long? Zhou Zhenghao nodded and asked curiously. You will know when the time comes. Long Gai Tian said with a smile. Let me show you the Dharma treasures and Dharma artifacts first. The manor was spacious and had a pleasant environment. There were 3 villas in the front and back of the manor. The rockery was arranged in a picturesque manner. There were pavilions, terraces, and winding corridors. It looked like an ancient emperor's palace. Stepping into a heavily guarded exhibition hall, Long Gatian pointed at the exhibits that filled the entire exhibition hall and said with a smile, "These are the treasures that my father has been searching for recently. It is rare to see them in the outside world. This is a treasured sword forged by a master swordsmith, Zheng Zongzi. It can cut through iron like mud and cut through hair with a single blow. It took the death of 3 master swordsmiths to make it. This is a jade pendant from the Han dynasty. It is engraved with talismans. It can nourish the blood and is very beneficial to the body. This is a soft armor made of golden silk. It is much stronger than a bulletproof vest. This is... Long Lin introduced the treasures along the way with a complacent look on his face. He was very familiar with the origins of the inheritance, and each treasure had a mysterious origin. Since Mr. Jiang is here, you can choose one of these Dharma artifacts as your reward. Alas. However, Jiang Tian lacked interest, and he shook his head with a disappointed expression. These treasures were not Dharma artifacts at all. They were far from the bracelet that he gave to Zhao Xueqing. Mr. Jiang, are you still not satisfied with these Dharma artifacts? Long Tian turned to look at Jiang Tian in surprise. As far as he was concerned, Jiang Tian ought to be extremely shocked upon seeing these treasures, but he never imagined that Jiang Tian would have an expression of disappointment. These are not Dharma artifacts. They are just ordinary antiques. Jiang Tian shook his head with a wry smile. It seemed that he should not have had any hope in the first place. The spiritual qi on earth had been exhausted, and the resources for cultivation were extremely scarce. How could there be so many Dharma artifacts? Long Lin was a little unhappy in his heart. These treasures were collected by my father from all over Wuxia with great effort, but this unknown man rejected them all. However, Long Tian was also a thoughtful person. How could he show his dissatisfaction with Jiang Tian? He squeezed out a smile and said, Mr. Jiang, there is another treasure at the bottom of the box. Please come this way. He came to a safe and entered the password to open it. He took out an exquisite brocade box and put it on the table. This is a piece of Buddha's bone. It is said that it was left by the senior monk Qingguan of the Pure Land School in Wuxia after he passed away. It is very magical. Long Tian's face was solemn. He carefully opened the sandalwood box. So magical. The moment the box was opened, Sister Dong Dong was shocked. Her beautiful eyes became blurred. She only felt that the yellow jade-like Buddha's bone was blooming with a gentle golden light. She seemed to hear holy Sanskrit chanting in her ears. In his mind, he felt as if he had been enlightened. He felt dizzy and couldn't even stand properly. He even had the urge to prostrate himself in worship. Yes, with the blessing of Buddhism, sometimes I can even see the Buddha's light and Buddha's statue appear. Long Tian's eyes also became obsessed. It was not easy for him to pull his eyes away from the Buddha's bone. He looked at Jiang Tian proudly and said, Brother Jiang, what do you think of this Buddha's bone? It's not bad, but it's still far from being a real Dharma artifact. Jiang Tian smiled faintly and shook his head. Hearing this, Long Tian was so angry that he almost jumped out. He scolded angrily, Brother Jiang, you are too ignorant. In Buddhism, the Buddha's bone is obtained by the senior monks through the cultivation of precepts, concentration, wisdom, and their own wishes. It contains their life's cultivation. It cannot be melted by high temperature or damaged by high pressure. It can be increased or decreased at will. It is really incredible. He spat and said, If you worship it, you can use it to make up for any defects of the 5 elements congenital life qi. You can obtain blessings for your body, life, fortune, wisdom, and wealth. It can also avoid all disasters. This Buddha's bone is very rare and precious. It is a sacred object. Don't spout nonsense. In my opinion, the so-called Buddha's bone is actually a stone left by the old monks. I don't know if this is their kidney stone or urine stone. Jiang Tian smiled disdainfully and said, As for what you think is magical, it is just some of the spiritual power of the senior monks left in it. It can make you feel peaceful, but if you want to use it to avoid disasters and obtain blessings, it is like looking for fish from a tree. The so-called spiritual power was also the power of thought. The senior monks in ancient times had tens of thousands of followers. These followers were very pious. They worshipped the senior monks every day and prayed to Buddha. They formed a huge amount of wish power, which was the power of faith and the power of good deeds. These wishes were absorbed by the senior monks and formed their own vast and deep power of thought, which was the spiritual power. What stone? You are talking nonsense. Long Gai Tian pointed at Jiang Tian in shock and anger. He almost jumped up. Now look at it. Is there anything magical about it? Jiang Tian covered the Buddha's bone with his big hand and touched it gently. Chapter 35. In an instant, Jiang Tian activated the primal chaos creation incantation and absorbed all of the mental energy in it, leaving not a single drop behind. What's going on? Long Gatian, Zhou Zhenghao, and Sister Dong Dong were shocked when they saw the Buddha bone relic. The Buddha light was no longer there, and the faint Buddhist chanting had completely disappeared. The Buddhist bone relic immediately lost its strange attraction and turned into a grayish-white ordinary bone. It even seemed to show signs of decay. I've erased the remaining mind power. Jiang Tian said lightly, without the interference of the mind power, it's just an ordinary bone. Master Kong, I didn't expect you to be so powerful. Zhou Zhenghao and Sister Dong Dong were in disbelief as they exclaimed in admiration. Mr. Jiang, no Master Kong, I didn't know that you're also a spell master. I'm sorry for not recognizing you. Please forgive me. Long Gatian sucked in a breath of cold air. He cupped his fists and bowed deeply. His face was full of fear and reverence. This young man had easily erased the mind power of the eminent monk. Didn't that mean that his Dharma power was even more powerful than the eminent monks of ancient times? The ignorant are not guilty. Please don't take it to heart, Master Long. Jiang Tian shook his head gently, but he sighed in his heart. He had heard that there were Dharma artifacts here and had hoped to find 1 or 2 Dharma artifacts. However, they were all ordinary antiques. Even the Buddha bone relic could not be considered a Dharma artifact. The mind power contained in it was very limited. It could not even activate his divine sense as a cultivator. Mr. Long, I'm a little tired. Please arrange a place for me to stay first. Jiang Tian walked out of the door. I'll send you there now. Long Gatian said happily. However, the moment he reached the door, Jiang Tian stopped and said in surprise, What's this? Oh, Master Kong, these are some ancient coins. However, no one knows the inscriptions on them, so they can't be dated. Long Gatian introduced. Following Jiang Tian's gaze, Long Gatian's eyes landed on a pile of rusty money. He bowed and said, There were 99 of these round ancient coins with square holes. They were covered in a thick layer of rust and did not look very good. Moreover, the inscriptions were very strange. Many experts could not determine the year when they were issued. Therefore, they only spent a few 100,000 yuan to buy them. How is this an ancient coin? It's a Dharma artifact called the Evil Warding Coin. It specializes in slaying evil spirits and malicious spirits. This trip was not in vain. Jiang Tian opened his heaven's eye to take a closer look. A gratified smile appeared on his face as he said calmly, I want these ancient coins. All right, I'll wrap it up for you. Long Gatian did not dare to have the slightest neglect or hesitation. He immediately packed all the coins and handed them to Jiang Tian. After that, Jiang Tian stayed in one of the guest rooms in the mansion. However, 3 days had passed. Other than Zhou Zhenghao and Sister Dong Dong delivering meals a few times, Dragon Fifth did not come to see him. It seemed that Dragon Fifth did not take him seriously either. However, Jiang Tian had always been a peaceful person, so he did not care. Without anyone to disturb him, he could cultivate wholeheartedly. His Qi refining stage 2 cultivation was even more stable now. On the night of the 4th day, Zhou Zhenghao and Sister Dong Dong hurried in. Mr. Jiang, the enemy is coming tonight. All right. Jiang Tian stood up happily. He was not interested in helping Dragon Fifth. However, after returning, he had only seen one martial artist, Conk, who was only an iron body cultivator. Jiang Tian was looking forward to meeting this strong enemy. Soon, Jiang Tian, accompanied by Zhou Zhenghao, arrived at an antique pavilion at the back of the courtyard. Mr. Jiang, little Zhou, you're here. Take a seat. A middle-aged man wearing a tang suit was sitting on a wooden armchair. But didn't move as he waved at Jiang Tian. Long Gayin stood behind him and nodded at Jiang Tian in a friendly manner. Fifth Lord. Zhou Zhenghao and Sister Dong Dong bowed deeply when they saw the middle-aged man with a respectful expression. Jiang Tian nodded slightly and sat down in the corner. There was a table of food and wine next to him. However, Dragon Fifth was not in a hurry to invite Jiang Tian to take a seat. He smiled and said, "There will be a martial Dao master coming later. Let's wait for a while." "No problem." Jiang Tian nodded. "Mr. Jiang, may I know which sect you are from? Who is your master?" Dragon Fifth asked. "Oh, I'm self-taught. I don't have a master." Jiang Tian picked up his tea and smiled faintly. "Oh, I see." Dragon Fifth was a little disappointed. He frowned and glared at Zhou Zhenghao. Other martial artists had their own masters and sects and had received guidance from experts. What self-taught genius? Wasn't that just an unorthodox path? This little Zhou was really playing house. Why did he bring any Tom, Dick, and Harry over? Wasn't that just adding to the mess? Grandmaster Jiang is an expert. Those few subordinates of mine are not his match at all. Zhou Zhenghao hurriedly explained. "Oh, that's really a hero from a young age. A master." Dragon Fifth chuckled. He was not interested. Dragon Fifth knew the trump cards of little Zhou's men, Ah Hu and Dong Yin. They were just some martial arts experts of the mortal world. They were not worthy of being shown in public. What could Jiang Tian prove by defeating them? "Fifth Lord, I wonder what the background of that enemy of yours is?" Jiang Tian asked indifferently. "Master Li is here." Dragon Fifth was about to speak. Suddenly, Long Gayin looked at his phone and bent down to report to Dragon Fifth. "He's here." Dragon Fifth instantly ignored Jiang Tian. As if a spring was pressed on his butt, he bounced up from the chair and said excitedly, "Master Li is here. Hurry up and welcome him. Hurry up and welcome him." Zhou Zhenghao did not dare to delay. He quickly accompanied Dragon Fifth out of the door with Long Gayin. "Master Li, you must be tired. Please forgive me for not coming out to meet you." Master Li, we are relieved that you are here." "Brother Dragon Fifth, brothers, you are too polite." After a round of greetings, a few people surrounded an old man in his 50s. They walked in like stars surrounding the moon. The old man was wearing a black cotton robe and a pair of old cloth shoes. His hair was like silver silk. A pair of tiger's eyes were bursting with light. He was not angry, but he was majestic. His calloused right hand was playing with a pair of iron balls. His breath was long and his steps were steady. He was full of energy. At first glance, one could tell that he had been practicing martial arts all year round. His physical fitness was very strong. Behind the old man were more than 10 disciples. All of them had strong physical fitness and a strong aura. The old man was very ostentatious with such a large entourage. Seeing this, a cold smile appeared on the corner of Jiang Tian's mouth. He already had some understanding in his heart. It seemed that in Dragon Fifth's eyes, this Master Li was the trump card that they could rely on. He was just a spare tire. However, Jiang Tian's state of mind was calm. He had long reached the point where he would not be surprised by favors or insults. "Master Kong, this is Master Li Junwei of Foshan Junwei Martial Arts School. In Lingnan he is as famous as Elder Tang of Linzhou." Zhou Zhenghao excitedly introduced, "Master Li, this is Master Kong of Linzhou. He is very strong." Jiang Tian saw that this person's aura was strong. He should have reached the level of internal force, which was higher than Elder Tang. He knew that spiritual qi was scarce on earth. It was not easy to cultivate martial arts. To reach this level of cultivation, it must have taken a lot of hard work. Therefore, he had some respect for this old man. He stood up and clasped his fist. "Junior Jiang Tian greets Master Li. How dare you call yourself a master when you are so young and your lower body is unstable?" Unexpectedly, Li Junwei looked at Jiang Tian condescendingly and said in disdain, "Some people only learned a little bit of martial arts and came out to swindle people. They are not afraid that they won't be alive to spend the money they earn." Jiang Tian was slightly stunned. He smiled bitterly and did not say anything. He sat down again. In terms of cultivation, Li Jinwei could not even compare to Jiang Tian's finger. If you don't want to give face, then forget it. Master Li, please take a seat. Dragon Fifth was not in the mood to comfort Jiang Tian. His face was full of joy as he bowed and made a gesture of invitation. Tang Guizhu is nothing. He is only in the later stage of Iron Body. He has not even cultivated internal force. How can he compare to me? He just has a good relationship with the military and gained some fame. Li Jinwei smiled disdainfully and glared at Zhou Zhenghao. He then sat down on the dragon chair. Please forgive me, Master Li. Zhou Zhenghao's face tightened, and he hurriedly bowed and apologized. Get up. Li Jinwei did not even look at him as he twirled the iron balls in his hand and said proudly, Dragon Fifth, don't worry. With me here today, even if Fu Biao comes, it's only a dead end. Master Li, Fu Biao is very powerful now. I heard that he has a master in the northeast and has already cultivated internal force. He is known as a martial Dao master. Dragon Fifth said nervously. Is a martial Dao master very powerful? Long Gatian frowned and asked. He did not know much about martial artists. A martial Dao master has already surpassed Iron Body. He is invulnerable and his fists have the strength of 1,000 pounds. He can kill a bear or fight a tiger. He has also formed internal force and can hurt people through objects. Li Jinwei said leisurely. Hiss. That's terrifying. Everyone sucked in a breath of cold air at the same time. Dragon Fifth's face was even paler, and he was horrified. Sigh, that is dangerous. I will ask the gunmen to be on full alert. Long Gatian said fearfully. Humph, I don't need gunmen. They are just decorations. Tonight, I will make sure that Fu Biao does not leave this place alive. Li Jinwei snorted disdainfully and said proudly, he is only at the initial level of internal force. I have already reached the phenomenal level of internal force. In my eyes, he is just an ant. What? Master Li, you have already reached the phenomenal level of internal force? Dragon Fifth was shocked. What? You still don't believe me? Li Jinwei picked up a chopstick and threw it. With a swoosh, a sharp sound pierced through the air. The next moment, the half of the chopstick had already penetrated the wall. It was as if the granite wall was made of tofu. That's amazing. Master Li is really a god. Even a flower or a leaf can hurt people. Boom. The huge attic was suddenly in an uproar. Everyone was stunned and amazed. Even Dragon Fifth was excited. He was instantly filled with confidence and smiled flatteringly. Master Li, I'm really relieved now. Even if Fu Biao has acknowledged an immortal as his master, he can only nurse a grievance when he sees Master Li. Humph, now you know what a real martial Dao master is. How dare you call yourself a martial Dao master at such a young age? Are you kidding me? Did you hear that? That whatever Grandmaster Jiang, my master is here. There's nothing for you to do here. You can go now. Suddenly, Li Jinwei's disciples pointed at Jiang Tian, their faces full of disdain as they sneered and ridiculed him. Chapter 36. They're just a few ants. Let's not waste our time on them. Jiang Tian only smiled indifferently when facing this, and he turned a deaf ear to it and remained composed as if he was on a fishing platform. Forget it, forget it. Just let Brother Jiang sit here. When Master Li makes his move, he can broaden his horizons and broaden his horizons. Dragon the Fifth was in a good mood. He acted as a peacemaker, but it was obvious that he did not take Jiang Tian seriously at all. In the attic, the atmosphere became lively. Everyone crowded around Li Jinwei, talking and laughing loudly, flattering him like a tide. Suddenly, Li Jinwei's face turned serious. He said in a deep voice, Fu Biao is here. So what? There are already a dozen gunmen downstairs. I'm afraid he won't even have a chance to go upstairs. Dragon the Fifth smiled proudly and snorted. Bang, bang, bang. A series of gunshots came from downstairs. A minute later, everything was quiet again. He should be dead by now, right? Dragon the Fifth said proudly. Long Gaten took out his walkie-talkie and said, "What's the situation?" However, there was no reply from the walkie-talkie. It was deadly silent. No way. Everyone looked at each other in dismay. Their expressions changed as they felt their hair stand on end. Could it be that Fu Biao killed those gunmen? How was that possible? There were a dozen gunmen armed with pistols and submachine guns. Although internal force masters can't take bullets head-on, they can still dodge them if they are strong enough. But don't be afraid of him. He can't do anything to you today. Only Li Junwei sipped his tea and sighed softly. He was calm in the face of the situation and sat there quietly with the demeanor of a master. Don't. Muffled footsteps came from the stairs. The wooden floor was trembling. The heavy footsteps seemed to be stepping on everyone's hearts, making them beat faster. There was dead silence in the hall. It was so quiet that even the sound of a pin dropping could be heard. Everyone could only hear their own heavy breathing. The atmosphere was suffocating. Everyone's emotions were complicated. Nervousness, fear, panic, excitement, and so on. The door was pushed open. A one-eyed middle-aged man wearing a black cloth shirt and a slanted eye patch slowly walked in. There were a few frostbite scars on his face. They were like wriggling earthworms, making him look even more terrifying. This person just stood there steadily, but a powerful aura spread out in all directions, making it difficult for people to breathe. The single eye emitted rays of cold light that enveloped everyone, causing everyone to feel a chill in their hearts. "Fu Biao!" Dragon Fifth exclaimed in a trembling voice. "Hee, fifth brother, long time no see." Fu Biao chuckled as he pulled over a chair and sat down. After all, Dragon Fifth was a big shot. He quickly calmed down and forced a smile. "Fu Biao, I didn't expect that you would still be able to find me while I was living in seclusion in Myanmar. What brotherly love." "That's right. Thanks to fifth brother, I lost one of my eyes back then. All these years, I've always remembered fifth brother's great kindness in my heart. I don't dare to forget it for even a moment." Fu Biao pulled off the eye patch, revealing a black eye socket. It was extremely terrifying. He grinned and said coldly, "I escaped to the northeast and trained hard for 10 years just for today. Fu Biao, you've learned a lot, and now I'm in need of people. Why don't we shake hands and work together?" Dragon Fifth smiled. "You've seen it too. I'm not the same as before. I have a strong army and tens of billions of assets. If you follow me, I promise you that no one will dare to mess with you. Sure, you dig out one of your eyes, and I'll be the boss of the Dragon Might Club." Fu Biao sneered. "Fu Biao, when it's possible to make mistakes, let them go." Li Junwei slammed the table and said coldly, "I'm here today. You won't be able to hurt Dragon Fifth." "Haha, isn't this Master Li from Junwei Martial Arts Club?" Fu Biao said disdainfully. "With your mediocre martial arts, you still have the nerve to come out and pretend to be a big shot. I'll kill you like a chicken. You're too arrogant. Today I'll let you see the true strength of a martial Dao master." Li Junwei was also a proud person. How could he withstand such humiliation? His body expanded, and he jumped out like a tiger coming down the mountain. He heavily punched towards Fu Biao's chest. The air exploded, and his internal strength tore through the void. His fist was like a cannonball, and a gust of wind whistled. Wherever he stepped, the solid wood floor cracked inch by inch. Wood chips flew everywhere, and the huge attic shook. Master Li's strength is really terrifying. Dragon Fifth screamed in his heart. Only now did he know that he was a frog at the bottom of a well. The strength of a martial artist was far beyond his imagination. Crushing him was as simple as crushing an ant. He thought that after this, he must reward Li Junwei heavily and treat him as a guest of honor. He must build a relationship with him and make him his backer. Master used the tiger form fist. Fu Biao is dead. Many disciples of Junwei Martial Arts Club were excited and full of confidence. It was as if Fu Biao would die on the spot in the next moment. Fu Biao didn't even move his butt. He punched out like a dragon and met with Li Junwei's fist. He swung his long sleeves in the air, and the sound of firecrackers was heard. Clang. The two fists suddenly collided in the air, and the sound of metal colliding with stone was heard. With a swoosh, Li Jinwei flew out like a rag doll, heavily crashing into the wall, making a muffled thunder-like sound. The wall cracked and peeled off. Li Jinwei hung on the wall for 3 seconds, and then slowly slid down like a piece of paper. Blood spurted out of his mouth, and his pupils dilated. His right arm was bent into a terrible arc, blood gushed out, and the white bone stubble was exposed. The whole place was dead silent. Everyone was dumbfounded. Elder sister Dong Dong screamed in horror. Fu Biao's strength was many times stronger than Zhou Zhenghao's men. It seemed that he was going to lose his life today. Internal strength can hit people like a painting. Martial arts are not afraid of guns. Fu Biao stood up proudly and glanced around. He sneered, "Who else? You can't do it," Li Jinwei exclaimed when he saw several disciples rubbing their palms. But a disciple had already rushed out and punched out. He said angrily, "You hurt my master. I'll kill you and avenge my shame." This disciple was Li Jinwei's eldest disciple, Xiang Long. He was the strongest among the disciples and had already reached the peak of iron body. "Your master is not as good as me. Aren't you going to die? Fine, I'll fulfill your wish." Fu Biao's eyes flashed with a trace of coldness. He didn't move at all and lightly punched out. Bang! This palm strike was incomparably swift, as fast as lightning, solidly slapping onto Xiang Long's head. Xiang Long's huge body, which weighed more than 180 pounds, flew out and smashed the solid wood table into pieces. His head was bleeding, and he fell to the ground miserably. His limbs twitched violently, and his eyes rolled up. He died. "Eldest brother is dead. Master, what should we do?" All the disciples of Jinwei Martial Arts School were scared and exclaimed. Then, they stepped back step by step and leaned against the wall. They kept quiet and didn't even dare to breathe loudly. "Fu Biao, I didn't expect you to have reached the peak of internal force. This old man is convinced." Li Jinwei's face was full of fear. He then looked at Dragon Fifth with a wry smile and sighed. "Brother Dragon Fifth, I'm not as good as you. I'm afraid I can't protect you today." He kept coughing up blood. "Dragon Fifth, what about the debt from 10 years ago? Do I gouge out your eyes, or do you want to commit suicide to atone for your sins?" Fu Biao was full of killing intent. He approached Dragon Fifth step by step. His eyes were full of mockery as if he was a cat playing with a mouse. Dragon Fifth's face was ashen. His legs trembled and he begged in a trembling voice. "Brother Fu, I hurt you because we were fighting for territory. There's no deep hatred between us. I'm willing to give you half of my family's property as long as you spare my life." "Fu Biao, Lord Dragon Fifth has given you a good deal." Zhou Zhenghao stretched out his arms in front of Dragon Fifth and forced a stiff smile. However, Fu Biao threw him out of the attic and he screamed. "You have no idea how powerful a martial artist can be. If I want money, I can get billions of dollars easily." Fu Biao disdainfully patted Dragon Fifth's cheek. It was not a heavy slap, but it was full of humiliation. His master was a tycoon in northeast China. He himself had reached the peak of internal force and was highly regarded by his master. He controlled several border smuggling routes and was even wealthier than Dragon Fifth. "Fu Biao, I am Tang Wanyan's brother. If you kill me, do you think he will let you go?" Dragon Fifth threatened Fu Biao with his trump card. "Ha, I've been living in Siberia for many years, controlling the forces in the northeast. If I kill you, I'll immediately escape from Myanmar. What can the Tang family do to me? Brother Biao, what do you want?" Dragon Fifth had lost his trump card. He was trembling like a lamb waiting to be slaughtered. Cold sweat had already soaked his body. "Back then, you raped my wife and daughter, gouged out my eyes, and broke my legs. Today, I will settle the score with you." Fu Biao grinned and said coldly, "I will gouge your eyes out, break your legs, and then kill you. Then your wife and daughter will not be able to escape." Dragon Fifth felt as if he had fallen into an ice cave. He could bear to die, but his wife and daughter, in a moment of desperation, Dragon Fifth knelt down with a plop. His whole body trembled, and tears flowed down his face as he said, "Brother Biao, you can kill me, but my wife and daughter are innocent. Please let them go. I will repay your kindness in my next life." Although Dragon Fifth was cruel and merciless, he was still concerned about his wife and daughter when he was about to die. Everyone was shocked. Dragon Fifth, the king of Linzhou City, was forced to kneel down and beg for mercy by Fu Biao, the one-eyed martial arts master. Everyone's faces were also filled with grief, as if they were about to die. Fu Biao was too strong. Who would be able to resist him? Today was the day that Dragon Fifth, the tycoon who had dominated Linzhou City for 20 years, would meet his end. Just when everyone was in despair, a cold voice came, "Fu Biao, you want to kill him, but did you ask for my permission? Or you?" Fu Biao suddenly turned his head. He saw an ordinary-looking young man playing with a teacup in the corner with his eyes downcast. "It doesn't matter who I am." Jiang Tian took a sip of tea, as if he wanted to let the tea come into full contact with his taste buds and thoroughly taste the mellow taste. It stayed in his mouth for a moment before he swallowed the tea and said lightly, "I took some of Dragon Fifth's money as a reward. Naturally, I have to keep him safe." "Jiangtan, what are you doing?" Li Jinwei exclaimed with anger. "This young man is really reckless. I am not his opponent. You are courting death if you go up? Is this kid crazy?" Everyone in the Jinwei martial arts school was also in disbelief. Dragon Fifth also had a look of astonishment, but he did not stop them. Even if Jiang Tian was not his opponent, it would be good if he could hold on for a minute and let him live. "What am I doing? Of course, I am going to slap this ant to death." Jiang Tian smiled and stood up. Chapter 37. Slap me to death? Aren't you afraid of biting your tongue? Fu Biao flew into a rage, his murderous aura surged, and his face that was covered in frostbite warped, making him seem even more hideous and terrifying. "What's so strange about slapping you to death?" Jiang Tian approached him slowly and said disdainfully, "You're just a perfected internal force user. What's the big deal? Even if your master is here, I can still slap him to death. You must be tired of living. Fine, today I will kill all of you and show my master the power." Fu Biao clenched his fists. His eyes were filled with murderous intent, like a ferocious tiger that was about to devour its prey. In his mind, his master was like a god who could walk on water, leap over roofs and vault over walls, refine qi into energy, condense qi into weapons, injure people in the air, and destroy an armored car with one punch. In such a big country like Wuxia, his master could run amok, talk and laugh freely, but this kid in front of him actually dared to insult his master. He should really be crushed to ashes to vent his hatred. "Jiang Tian, shut up. If you want to die, don't drag us down with you." "Master Fu, it's just that Jiang Tian was disrespectful to you. We have already surrendered to you. Please spare our lives." Seeing that Fu Biao's ferocious nature had been aroused, the people of Jinwei Martial Arts School began to criticize Jiang Tian and scrambled to kneel on the floor. "See? That's the attitude you should have." Seeing this, Fu Biao smirked and pointed at Jiang Tian with disdain. "Kid, you don't know your place. My master is a martial arts grandmaster. You can't even compare to his hair. Martial arts grandmaster? In my eyes, Kang Teichu, you're just trash." Jiang Tian laughed and waved his finger. "Immortal martial 18 forms, Star River Break." Swoosh. His true essence condensed and formed into a giant sword that was about 8 meters long. It swept in all directions like a knife cutting through water. With a loud explosion, the wall next to Jiang Tian was cut open and completely collapsed. Violent winds poured in, raising tens of thousands of feet of dust. Everywhere the sword of energy passed, everything collapsed and turned into powder. It was a complete mess. When the dust settled, everyone looked at the terrifying hole and was dumbstruck. Their eyes bulged as if they were about to fall out of their eye sockets. Their mouths were so wide open that a fist could be stuffed in. Heavens, condensing qi into a weapon, and it's such a powerful and terrifying qi sword. Li Jinwei was dumbfounded. His voice trembled as if he had seen a god. Could he be the legendary martial Dao Grandmaster? A transcendent state martial arts grandmaster was able to refine qi into righteousness and form qi into weapons. He was able to inflict damage from a distance and was invincible. They were as rare as phoenix feathers and qilin horns. Even in Wuxia, there were only a handful of them. All of them were magnates who ruled over a region, and they were on equal footing with the provincial leaders and the provincial officials. Moreover, even those famous martial Dao grandmasters could only condense a few wind blades and be destroyed in the blink of an eye. Unlike Jiang Tian, who had condensed his qi into a sword of energy, it was so powerful that it seemed to be able to slice open the sky. If he was not a martial Dao grandmaster, then who would dare to call himself a grandmaster? I have a sword that can cut open the Milky Way. Jiang Tian cracked a smile and put away the qi sword. He linked his hands behind his back and said calmly, I wonder if I am qualified to fight with your master? Is he still human? Dragon 5, Dragon Gadian, Li Jinwei and the others rounded their eyes in disbelief. He is able to form a qi sword of about 8 meters long. He is like a demon god. The disciples of the Jinwei Martial Arts Club were dumbfounded. Jiang Tian's strength was not what they could imagine at all. Master Kong is so powerful. Sister Dong Dong raised her arms and cheered. She had become Jiang Tian's loyal fan. He is a martial Dao grandmaster. Fu Biao was already scared out of his wits by Jiang Tian's Star River break, and cold sweat poured out of his forehead. Although the difference between a martial Dao master and a martial Dao grandmaster was only one word, the difference in power was like heaven and earth. If he were to fight with Jiang Tian, he wouldn't even be able to withstand a single blow. In his early years, Fu Biao had roamed the streets and later became a disciple of a martial arts grandmaster. He had experienced countless battles in his life and was extremely experienced. Naturally, he understood the principle of fleeing thousands of miles away if he was not a match for his opponent. He didn't even bother to turn around. He stomped his feet on the ground, and with the help of the boundless recoil, he smashed through the glass window like a meteor and landed 10 meters away from the attic. He took big strides and ran for his life. A martial Dao grandmaster in his 20s? How is that possible? The scenery in front of Fu Biao's eyes flashed past rapidly. Fu Biao left an afterimage in the air as he roared madly in his heart. My master had been cultivating in Siberia for decades with the help of the Russian Northern Army. He had only reached the transcendent state at the age of 70. This kid is not a human being, he is a demon fetus. Fu Biao ran even faster out of fear. In a blink of an eye, he was already 100 meters away. Sigh, it's too late to run now. Jiang Tian stood by the window and shook his head with a wry smile. He raised his white fist and punched at Fu Biao's back. 100 meters away, Fu Biao's shirt was torn into pieces. Blood gushed out of his mouth as he was thrown backward. He fell to the ground like a dead dog and lay there motionless. A grandmaster is indeed something else. Condensing qi into a fist and killing someone from 100 meters away. So, the legends are true. Today, the old man has seen it with his own eyes. Seeing this, Li Jinwei cracked a smile. Although it was silent, it couldn't hide the pain in his heart. He had never seen a real grandmaster, but he had heard about them. His cultivation had stopped at the internal force level and he hadn't made any progress in the past 10 years. He even suspected that the legends were fabricated by his predecessors. But today, he believed it. Downstairs, Zhou Zhenghao was crawling up with his hands on his buttocks. He was shocked by what he saw. Fu Biao is dead. Was he killed by a sniper rifle? How could fifth brother be so powerful? He limped toward Fu Biao. When he saw that it was really Fu Biao, he kicked him and cursed. Fuck you. How dare you leave me like this? My ass almost got smashed from the fall. You've embarrassed your mother. Boss Zhou, he is not dead yet. Be careful. Jiang Tian's voice came from afar. Oh my god. Zhou Zhenghao was so scared that he jumped 3 feet away and ran toward the attic as if he was avoiding snakes and scorpions. Fifth brother dragon, who killed Fu Biao. You must reward him. Zhou Zhenghao shouted excitedly as soon as he entered the attic. Jiang Tian rolled his eyes and said, Boss Zhou, it seems that you have no confidence in me. Did you bring me here to be a bystander? What? You killed him? You are more powerful than Master Li Zhenwei? Zhou Zhenghao was stunned. Boss Zhou, what are you talking about? How could an old man compare himself with Master Kong? You are trying to get me killed. Li Zhenwei waved his hands in fear and then knelt in front of Jiang Tian like a loyal follower. He said nervously and shamefully, Grandmaster Jiang, you are a magnanimous person. Please forgive this old man for not being able to see Grandmaster Jiang's cultivation. Master Kong, please accept our respect. Many disciples of the Zhenwei Martial Arts Club knelt down one after another. Their faces were full of nervousness and reverence. It was as if they were worshipping the demon god. In the world of martial arts, the strong were respected. Jiang Tian's cultivation was beyond their reach and even beyond their imagination. This time, they kowtowed sincerely. Master Kong, please accept me as your disciple. Long Gate-in also knelt down and earnestly asked. Jiang Tian was not the kind of person who would seek revenge for the smallest grievance. He reached out to help Li Zhenwei up and said with a gentle smile, Master Zhenwei, the ignorant are not guilty. Get up quickly. Grandmaster Jiang, how could I dare to call myself a grandmaster in front of you? Li Zhenwei was full of admiration for Jiang Tian, and he prostrated himself on all fours. At such a young age, his cultivation was earth-shattering. However, he was not afraid of anything and was approachable without any arrogance. He had practiced martial arts for dozens of years but had not developed such a peaceful temperament. He sighed at his own inferiority. You seem to have some internal injuries. I will give you a prescription to treat them. Jiang Tian connected his broken bones and fixed them with a piece of cloth from the table leg. Then he found a pen and paper and began to write the prescription. Looking at Jiang Tian's calligraphy, Li Zhenwei was moved to tears. He bowed deeply and said in the most admirable tone in his life, Master Kong, I was disrespectful to you when we met today. But you still connected my bones and treated my injuries. This kind of magnanimity really makes an old man, he choked with sobs. All kinds of feelings surged in his heart. He was full of admiration and gratitude. At this moment, he would not hesitate to die for Jiang Tian. We are all martial artists. You don't have to be so polite. Jiang Tian waved his hand with a smile. After writing the prescription, he gave it to Li Zhenwei. Master Li, take 1 dose a day. After a month, your cultivation should be restored by 70 to 80%. Thank you, Master Kong. I will never forget your kindness. Li Zhenwei once again knelt down to express his gratitude. Jiang Tian could do nothing about it. Grandmaster Jiang's methods, Xiaolong, truly admire them. Please come to the villa in front. Let's have a drink and start the banquet again. We will have a good drink. The enemy had been eliminated. Long Yi's heart fell to the ground. He bowed and made a gesture of invitation. He had a flattering smile on his face. He was the dignified underground emperor of Linzhou. He was already close to 50 years old. Usually he was awe-inspiring and reserved. But at this moment he made such a gesture in front of Jiang Tian. It was very comical. Okay, I am a little hungry. Jiang Tian slightly nodded and smiled faintly. Long Yi quickly led the way. Although Li Zhenwei's injuries were not light, it was a rare opportunity to make friends with a cultivation genius like Jiang Tian. Therefore, he insisted on attending the banquet. In a luxuriously decorated restaurant, under the light of the crystal chandelier, a large revolving round table was filled with delicacies, exotic delicacies, and several bottles of high-end red wine worth hundreds of thousands of yuan. Long Yi, Zhou Zhenghao, Long Gate-in, and Li Zhenwei accompanied Jiang Tian. They drank and talked happily, pouring out their admiration. Long Gate-in, the famous top young master in Linzhou, was only qualified to serve Jiang Tian tea and wine. Master Kong, from now on, you are my big brother. The hundreds of brothers of Longwei Association will listen to Mr. Kang's orders. Dragon Fifth patted his chest loudly and said with excitement and admiration, "Grandmaster Jiang, if you're interested, you'll be the president of the Dragon Might Association from now on. I'll give you half of my family's property." Chapter 38. Dragon Fifth was forthright and astute. He had a clear plan. What kind of person was Jiang Tian? He was a dragon among men. If they had Jiang Tian as their backer, the Longwei Association would be able to dominate Lingnan within 10 years. Their assets would expand by 10 times. Even if he had to share half of it, it would still be a profit. Hearing this, everyone looked at Jiang Tian with envy and admiration. Their hearts were full of sighs. Jiang Tian was able to control the Longwei Association at such a young age. Zhou Zhenghao had been around for so long, but he only had a family business of 1 billion. Compared to Jiang Tian, it was nothing. "Forget it, I'm not interested in these things." Jiang Tian declined politely. Of course, he knew that there were great benefits to running a force. But if it was tied too tightly, it would be a responsibility and burden. If something happened to Dragon Fifth and the others, he would definitely stand up for them and delay his own cultivation. "Master Kong, please don't despise us. Although we don't have much ability, it's not a problem for us to take care of business in the secular world." Dragon Fifth was instantly heartbroken. His eyes were slightly red. This was the first time he had encountered a situation where he couldn't even give out money. "Yes, Master Kong, we were born in the wilderness. We're half white and half black, but we also pay attention to the word loyalty." Zhou Zhenghao begged bitterly, "Brother, please don't blame me. If you become our boss, we'll definitely go through fire and water for you, Master Kong." "Do I need you to go through fire and water for me?" Jiang Tian rolled his eyes. He thought to himself, "It's more like I'm the one protecting you." "Dragon Fifth and brother, stop dreaming." At this time, Li Jinwei said coldly, "What kind of person is Master Kong? Why would he care about your small amount of money? Don't cry anymore and annoy Master Kong." "Hey, I won't talk nonsense. Master Kong, I'll toast you again." Dragon Fifth looked helpless and frowned. Long Gaten leaned over and whispered, "Master Jinwei, what does Master Kong need? Our Longwei Association should express our gratitude, shouldn't we? For martial artists, money is only a way to obtain cultivation resources, but the ultimate goal is still cultivation resources." Li Jinwei spoke tirelessly. Then, he let out a long sigh and shook his head with a bitter smile. But now, with the prosperity of science and technology, the environment has been destroyed, and the inheritance of the ancient times has been cut off. Those spiritual herbs, Dharma artifacts, and spiritual qi are very rare. Most of the time, they are priceless. Hearing this, Dragon Fifth suddenly frowned and said, "Master Kong, have you heard of the divine Stone of Life?" "Stone of Life? What's so special about it?" Jiang Tian was slightly moved, and a trace of surprise flashed in his eyes. "I heard it from Myanmar's King of Kogan. He once found one, and after wearing it, he felt refreshed and energized." Long Yi said excitedly, "This kind of divine stone is produced in a place called White Ape Valley in the 100,000 Mountains of Miaojiang." "Divine Stone of Life? I have heard of it before." Li Jinwei's eyes lit up and said, "If one wears it often, it can strengthen one's bones and strengthen one's bloodline. However, the White Ape Valley is guarded by a ferocious giant ape. Even an internal force grandmaster or a transcendent state grandmaster would die on the spot if they encountered it. This divine stone of life is something." Jiang Tian nodded slightly as a thoughtful look appeared in his eyes. By now, he had a very deep understanding of the cultivation system of martial artists. The cultivation method of martial artists was much simpler than that of cultivators. Usually, martial artists could only consume elixirs and use their digestive system to strengthen their bodies and cultivate their qi. However, they couldn't absorb the spirit qi in the world or the spirit qi in the jade and crystal stones like cultivators. However, the divine stone of life could nourish a martial artist's body. It was a testament to the power of this stone. That's right, Dragon Fifth said with a trembling voice. The king of Guogan said that last time, he brought dozens of fully armed gunmen to White Ape Valley and only got a rock the size of a finger. Even then, quite a few of them died. Deep fear appeared on Dragon Fifth's face as his voice trembled. Dragon Fifth, what does the divine stone of life look like? Jiang Tian asked. Senior Master, look at this. This is a picture taken by the king of Guogan. Dragon Fifth took out his phone and pulled out a photo. He said in astonishment, the 100,000 mountains of Miaojiang has a subtropical climate. Furthermore, it's summer, and the temperature is as high as 40 degrees. But this valley is actually covered in ice and snow. In the picture, there was a lush mountain range in the distance. The trees were lush and wildflowers swayed in the wind. However, there was a snowstorm nearby. The river was frozen and the trees were covered in ice. It was like a world of ice in a fairy tale. Strange. Jiang Tian was taken aback. He furrowed his brows and scanned the picture. Oh my God, this is an ice crystal. When he saw the ice and snow, he did not care. However, when he saw the fist-sized jade embedded in the mountain rock, as well as the white cold air surrounding the jade, Jiang Tian's expression could not help but change as he screamed in his heart. There were 5 elements in nature: metal, wood, water, fire, and earth. If one could gather all 5 elements, they could set up a spirit-gathering formation. Especially on Earth where spirit chi was thin, a spirit-gathering formation was crucial. Only by using a spirit-gathering formation to gather the thin spirit chi could it be absorbed and used. As for the ice crystal, it was a crystal of the water element. It was very rare even in the outer space. Can you find the White Ape Valley? Jiang Tian was tempted. He was determined to find the ice crystal. The 100,000 mountains is an unknown no-man's land. It is very mysterious and dangerous. This valley is too small. It is not marked on the map. Dragon Fifth said. But the king of Guogan once went there. Since Master Kong wants to go, I will ask. He immediately stood up and made a call to the king of Guogan. Although he purposely lowered his voice, Jiang Tian could still hear him clearly. The king of Guogan raised the price. Just for the location, he asked Dragon Fifth for 10 million. A moment later, Dragon Fifth returned with a GPS location and a route saved in his phone. The ice crystal is so precious, but it is rarely circulated on the market. It can be seen that the White Ape Valley is very dangerous. After the banquet ended, Jiang Tian returned to his residence. He sat in meditation and frowned. That white ape should be a demon beast. It seems that I need to make some preparations. I need to stabilize my cultivation and refine the warding off evil golden sword before leaving. 5 days quickly passed. Jiang Tian waved his hand. The warding off evil golden swords flew into the air and formed a golden sword. Go! Jiang Tian slashed with his fingers. With a swoosh, the golden sword flashed and broke through the air, cutting a fake mountain in the yard into pieces. My cultivation of Chi Disciple Level 2 has been fully stabilized. With this golden sword, even if there is a demon beast, I can kill it with a single slash. Jiang Tian walked out of the villa with confidence. Li Jinwei immediately greeted him with a face full of joy. Mr. Jiang, can we leave now? You want to go too? Jiang Tian smiled. To be able to follow Master Kong and work with him, even if I die, I am willing to die. Li Jinwei said with a smile. Also, I have an old friend in the 100,000 mountains who can lead the way for us. How's your arm? Will it be okay? Jiang Tian glanced at his arm and asked. Grandmaster Zhang's prescription is really amazing. My arm has already healed, and my cultivation has also completely recovered. It's definitely not a problem to help Grandmaster. Li Jinwei patted his chest loudly. Good. Then come with me. Jiang Tian nodded and agreed. In fact, Zhou Zhenghao and Dong Dong also wanted to follow Jiang Tian and help Jiang Tian. But this time, Jiang Tian firmly refused. This operation was very dangerous, and the future was uncertain. The two of them would be a complete burden if they joined in the fun. After Dragon Fifth took care of Fu Biao, He had to return to Linzhou to reorganize his forces and continue to be the underground emperor. Zhou Zhenghao followed him back to Linzhou. Before they left, Dragon Fifth said worriedly, the king of Guogan also said that White Ape Valley is very dangerous. Do you want me to assign a few gunmen to accompany Master Kong? No need. Jiang Tian waved his hand and refused. If you want to repay me for saving your life, then help me take care of someone. Who? I dare not disobey the orders of my savior. Dragon Fifth said solemnly. Zhao Huqing's daughter, Zhao Xueqing? Jiang Tian said the name that haunted him. Zhao Huqing is just a third-rate tycoon. Master Kong is a godlike figure. How does he know his daughter? Dragon Fifth was suspicious, but he did not dare to ask. He quickly said, Master Kong, don't worry. Leave everything to me. I will send experts to guard her. If anything happens to Miss Zhao, I will bring my head to you. And so, Jiang Tian parted ways with Dragon Fifth and Zhou Zhenghao in Snakehead Town, and led Li Jinwei on the road to find the ice crystals. After a few hours of rugged mountain roads, the off-road vehicle entered Shirwan Mountain. In the evening, the off-road vehicle stopped in a small mountain village with smoke rising from the chimneys. Li Jinwei came to a small courtyard with a bamboo fence, knocked on the wooden door and shouted, Old man, open the door. Jiang Tian looked around the small courtyard. There were stone locks, wooden dummies, sandbags, weapon racks, and other traditional tools inside. There was also a rockery that was taller than a person. After a while, the door was pulled open from the inside with a creak. A beautiful, tall, and beautiful woman rushed out from inside and almost bumped into Li Jinwei. The beautiful woman raised her eyebrows and scolded, Old man, are you looking for trouble? Don't you have eyes? Stupid girl, don't you know how to respect your elders? When you came out, didn't your parents teach you? Li Jinwei was a little angry. He put on the posture of a martial Dao master, with his hands behind his back and chest out, and scolded coldly. Oh, isn't this Master Li Jinwei? Can't you just stay in Foshan? Are you here to behave atrociously? Suddenly, along with a gloomy voice, a man wearing a blue robe, crotchless trousers, hemp shoes, and a bamboo basket at his waist slowly walked out with a cold smile. Seeing this man, Li Jinwei was shocked. Fear appeared on his face, and he smiled stiffly. Isn't this Elder Lan of the Five Poison Sect? Sorry for the disrespect. Be careful, this is Miaojiang, not Lingnan. You don't have the right to behave atrociously. Elder Lan's face was full of contempt. He whistled and walked past Li Jinwei. At this moment, a green shadow shot out from the bamboo basket at his waist and shot toward Li Jinwei like an arrow. Chapter 39. Ouch! Li Jinwei screamed as he tried to grab something, but to his surprise, he caught nothing. The green shadow landed on his neck. It was a green bamboo snake that was as long as a chopstick. Li Jinwei jumped in fright, a chill running down his spine as he tried to grab at his neck with both hands, but the green bamboo snake was extremely nimble, flying around his shoulders, head, arms, chest, and back at an incomparably fast speed. Li Jinwei's face turned pale as he knew that the poisonous snake was extremely terrifying. He tried to grab it with both hands, but the snake was 10 times faster than him. Hee hee, Elder Blue's little green snake is so cute. Wonderful. The beautiful woman looked at Li Jinwei playfully and clapped her hands. Suddenly, a lame old man with a walking stick walked out and said angrily, Elder Blue, how dare you harm my brother? Don't even think that I'll lead the way for you. Squeak, little green, come back. Elder Blue whistled and the little snake flew back into the bamboo basket. He looked at Li Jinwei with disdain and smiled at the lame old man. Ghost kick, I was just joking with Master Jinwei. Li Jinwei was still angry. He cursed resentfully, if he really wants to compete with me, I'll slap him to death. This woman is also a bastard. Forget it, Brother Wei. We can't afford to offend this woman. She's the daughter of Nanyang's Gua family, Gua Lily. The crippled old man immediately grabbed Li Jinwei's arm and said in a low voice, What? Nanyang's Gua family. Li Jinwei's pupils shrunk as he heard this. Nanyang's Guo family was a Chinese tycoon in Singapore. They conquered Nanyang with a straw mat and now dominated the list of the world's richest Chinese people. The Guo family was a century-old family involved in ocean shipping, hotels, finance, and many other fields. Their assets were in the hundreds of billions. When the Guo family was at its peak, they were in the top 10 list of the world's richest Chinese people several times. Even with the rise of the internet and the emergence of many new tycoons, the Guo family was still ranked in the top 20 or 30. Once the leaders of Wuxia came to Singapore for a state visit, they would definitely stay at the Guo family mansion. This showed how influential the Guo family was in politics. At most, Li Jinwei still had some reputation in Lingnan, but he was nothing compared to such a rich and powerful family. How could he afford to offend them? Nanyang Guo family. No wonder even the elders of the Five Poison sect were able to serve as her followers. However, why are they also looking for this frost crystal? Are they also cultivators? Jiang Tian's eyes flickered as he frowned and pondered. The Guo family of Nanyang was famous in the Chinese world. They were so rich that even the Prime Minister of Singapore had to look up to them. Jiang Tian suddenly remembered that in his previous life, old Master Guo had passed away this year due to a serious illness. It was even on the news at that time. It's the Guo family of Nanyang. Li Jinwei's heart skipped a beat, and he could only look at Jiang Tian for help, hoping that Jiang Tian would help him get back his face. However, Jiang Tian turned a blind eye and had no intention of fighting with Elder Blue. He even took 2 steps back, and Li Jinwei could only smile bitterly. Seeing Jiang Tian and Li Jinwei take the initiative to retreat, the beautiful woman's face showed some disdain. She looked at the crippled man and said, "Ghost Kick, think about it carefully. If you lead the way for me tomorrow, I will give you 10 million. If you refuse again, I will find someone else." After saying that, she left with Elder Blue. "Old Ghost, why did they ask you to lead the way?" Li Jinwei asked in surprise. "Recently, she has been entrenched in the village. She repeatedly asked me to lead the way to the White Ape Valley." Ghost Kick helplessly shook his head. Maybe she wants to use the frost crystal to treat old Master Guo's illness? Jiang Tian's heart flashed with a trace of understanding. "Master Kong, let's go in and talk." Li Jinwei bowed slightly and asked Jiang Tian for instructions. But Jiang Tian nodded and entered the low thatched cottage with the two of them. After sitting down, Ghost Kick served 2 cups of tea and asked, "Brother Wei, you've earned a lot of money from opening a school in Foshan. You can even drink and chat with the secretary of the municipal party committee. Why did you come to visit me?" "To tell you the truth, we are also here for the divine stone of life. We want to go to the White Ape Valley," Li Jinwei said. Ghost Kick was shocked and said anxiously, "Are you crazy? How do you know how terrifying the White Ape is? Have you forgotten how my leg was crippled?" "Ghost Kick, don't worry. This time, Master Kong is here. We will definitely return with a full load," Li Jinwei said. "Nonsense." Ghost Kick slammed the table and shouted, "When I went to the White Ape Valley, I was also at the peak of inner strength cultivation. However, the White Ape broke one of his legs like a chick and tossed him 10 meters away. Even now, my leg is still crippled. No matter how many miracle doctors I have seen, it is useless." He pointed at Jiang Tian and sneered, "How old is this kid? What cultivation does he have? Isn't going to the White Ape Valley looking for death? Don't make a mistake. Go back." "Hee hee." Jiang Tian chuckled and suddenly walked to the side of the rockery in the courtyard. The rockery was as tall as 2 people. It was difficult for one person to wrap their arms around it. It was made of Taihu stone and weighed thousands of pounds. Jiang Tian circled around it and nodded with satisfaction. Suddenly, he stretched out his hand and his 5 fingers were like sharp claws, deeply embedded into the rock. "Ouch!" Ghost Kick was shocked and bounced up from the chair, his face full of shock. In the next moment, Jiang Tian's aura skyrocketed, and he lifted up the entire fake mountain. His face did not change at all. His eyes were still clear and charming. His breath was long and steady. Hiss! Ghost Kick sucked in a breath of cold air. His face changed and his eyes widened as if he had seen a celestial being. This rockery weighed several thousand kilograms. Back then, it had crushed the tires of the transport truck, but Jiang Tian had lifted it up so easily. Even if he was once a phenomenal success inner force cultivator, he could only lift a few 100 pounds of rock at his peak. Dong! Jiang Tian took a step forward. The blue stone ground trembled violently and cracked inch by inch. A footprint appeared. Dong! Jiang Tian took another step forward and then turned around. He waved one hand. The rockery flew out of the courtyard as if it were made of plastic foam. It shook the ground and the mountain, sending a cloud of dust into the air. Jiang Tian clapped his hands and returned to the living room. He sat down and smiled. Senior Ghost, don't worry. Since I'm here, I'm confident. Even if I can't kill the white ape, I should be able to escape, right? Master Kong can move a mountain with a wave of his hand. This old man is impressed. Ghost Kick was filled with awe. He cupped his fists and bowed deeply. He said in the most respectful tone he had ever used in his life, I am not your senior in front of Master Kong. You can just call me Old Ghost. Old Ghost, are you relieved now? Li Jinwei cracked a smile and said, Grandmaster Jiang is a true transcendent grandmaster. He is able to form chi condensation weapons and attack people from 100 meters away. What's so scary about a hairy beast? Transcendent grandmaster. How is that possible? Ghost Kick was shocked. He had thought Jiang Tian was born with superhuman strength. He had never thought that he had reached the transcendent state. A transcendent grandmaster was a tycoon who ruled over a region. Even the government officials were wary of them. Ghost Kick was also a veteran martial arts master, but he had never heard of Jiang Tian. Moreover, the path of martial arts was like sailing against the current. It was full of difficulties and obstacles. Even the most talented martial artists could not reach the internal force level before 30, let alone the transcendent state. Old Ghost, I saw it with my own eyes. Why would I lie to you? Li Jinwei glared at him and then said with a smile, Come on, go prepare some food. We will depart tomorrow. With Grandmaster Jiang's strength, he can naturally contend with the white ape, but Ghost Kick's expression was awkward. Go ahead. Jiang Tian said gently. The Gua family of Nanyang has asked me to lead the way. If we go tomorrow, I am afraid they will follow us. Ghost Kick said, also, they are determined to get the divine stone of life. I am afraid a fight is inevitable. What a joke. How can they compete with Master Kong? They will only be cannon fodder if they go. Li Jinwei sneered and said, If you ask me, you should accept the reward and promise to lead the way for them. But tell them in advance that we will be going together. Otherwise, no deal. Well, I will talk to them about it. Ghost Kick frowned and pondered for a moment. Then he nodded and went out to find the Gua family. A moment later, Ghost Kick came back and said, Brother Wei, you guessed right. They agreed. Good, then let's eat our fill. We will depart tomorrow morning. Li Jinwei said excitedly. You guys drink tea, I'll cook? I have good quality cured meat, free-range chicken, and home-brewed grain wine. Although it's simple, it's natural and pollution-free. Ghost Kick limped away to get busy. Don't worry. Seeing the other party's enthusiasm, Jiang Tian immediately had a good impression of him. He said, Let me treat your leg. What? Grandmaster Jiang also knows medicine? Ghost Kick was surprised. He couldn't believe it. Medicine, sorcery, and ancient martial arts were the three most difficult fields in the world of cultivation. Many people were only good at one field in their whole life. All-round talents only existed in legends. What are you talking about? What do you mean he knows medicine? Li Jinwei's face was immediately filled with reverence as he said, Grandmaster Jiang's medical skills have long reached the peak of perfection. I was seriously injured some time ago. Master Kong set my bones and used Chinese medicine to treat me. I recovered in 5 days. Then Master Kong, please take a look at me. Ghost Kick pulled a chair over and sat in front of Jiang Tian. He pulled up his pants. His muscles were atrophied and there was no vitality. His meridians and acupoints were blocked. His blood flow was not smooth. He could not feel his nerves. Moreover, there was a fire-poison energy in it. Under high temperature, it made the tissues lose their ability to regenerate. No wonder so many doctors were useless. But how could this be a problem for Jiang Tian? He took out a few silver needles from his bag and flicked them with his fingers. The silver needles were shot into the meridians and acupoints on Ghost Kick's calf. After that, Jiang Tian twirled the silver needles and slowly pierced them in. His movements were as smooth as flowing water as he poured in strands of true essence. Chapter 40. Strange, I can actually feel a burning sensation as if I'm on fire. Ghost Kick's eyes were wide open. His face was full of shock and disbelief. For many years, he had seen many famous doctors and used all kinds of treatment methods, but he could not feel his injured leg at all. But now, Jiang Tian just lightly pricked him and he could feel it. Moreover, his leg was much more relaxed. A hot stream of air was washing away the blockages in his meridians and acupuncture points, nourishing his muscles and bones. Yes, under the nourishment of Jiang Tian's true yuan, the broken bones were regenerated, the meridians were unobstructed, and the blood essence was flowing. Try walking 2 steps. Jiang Tian only used 15 minutes to finish the acupuncture and put away the silver needles. Okay, I'll try. Ghost Kick threw away his walking stick, and with a little effort he actually stood up. His face was full of joy. He took a deep breath, lifted his injured leg, and with a bang, he took a step forward. It's done! Ghost Kick and Li Jinwei exclaimed. At first, Ghost Kick was still a little shaky and stiff. But later, he walked more and more smoothly, and in the end, his steps were as if he was flying, nimble and free. Senior-old Ghost, you can try kicking that stone lock. Jiang Tian smiled and encouraged him. Ghost Kick arrived in front of the stone lock and used his chi to kick. With a bang, a stone lock weighing dozens of kilograms flew out of the courtyard and fell into the valley. Heavens, I'm healed, I'm really healed. Ghost Kick's face was full of shock, and his heart was full of excitement. He looked up to the sky and shouted, his face was full of tears. His name, Ghost Kick, once resounded throughout the Jianghu, the authentic successor of the 12 paths of Tan Tui, known for his leg martial arts. But 10 years ago, when he went to the White Ape Valley to find the divine stone of life, his right leg was broken and never recovered. Since then, he was disheartened and concealed his identity in the 100,000 mountains, not caring about Jianghu matters. But today, Jiang Tian actually cured his injured leg, and even his cultivation was restored. How could he not be excited? Congratulations, brother old Ghost, you've recovered today, and in the future, you'll definitely revive Ghost Kick's divine power and shock the world. Li Jinwei put away his shock and cupped his fists to congratulate him. Plop. Ghost Kick actually knelt down in front of Jiang Tian, wailing, Master Kong, you are my second parent. As he said this, he kowtowed like he was pounding garlic, prostrating himself on the ground. It's just a small matter. There's no need to be so polite. Jiang Tian smiled and helped him up, not taking it to heart at all. He had only consumed a little bit of his true essence, which was incomparable to the amount he had consumed to heal Zhao Xueqing's body. That night, Jiang Tian rested at Ghost Kick's house. One of the best guest rooms was given to Jiang Tian. The 100,000 mountains was densely covered with forests and rich in negative oxygen ions. Jiang Tian didn't sleep at all. He sat cross-legged in meditation and absorbed the spiritual energy of heaven and earth. The primal chaos creation incantation was a supreme cultivation technique. It could even absorb the poisonous miasma aura and convert it into true yuan. It could swallow the sun, moon, and stars in one breath. A single breath could destroy the world. Early the next morning, the eastern horizon was suffused with the color of a fish belly. A cloud of purple mist was surging. Purple chi from the east. Jiang Tian opened his eyes. His pupils flickered like lightning, revealing their sharpness. Hu chi! Jiang Tian spat out a mouthful of turbid air. He felt that his true essence was more stable and condensed. He sighed in his heart, A place full of spiritual energy can greatly increase the speed of cultivation. If I can arrange a spirit gathering array, I can also advance 1,000 miles in a day. Jiang Tian's expectations for the ice crystals and spirit gathering array also increased. He had only cultivated for a night in the 100,000 mountains, and he had made such progress. If he could arrange a spirit gathering array, the effect would be even stronger. Master Kang. Li Zhenwei called from outside. Coming. Jiang Tian washed his face and walked out of the door. Outside, Li Zhenwei and Ghost Kick were already prepared. Both of them wore hiking shoes, leggings, and stiff clothes covered in pine oil. Their bags were filled with dry food, and they carried mattresses, 2 machetes, ropes, and so on. Master Kang, have a light meal. Ghost Kick brought breakfast to the table, millet porridge, sesame seed cakes, and preserved meat. After eating hastily, Jiang Tian and the others walked out of the door. 2 off-road vehicles were already waiting for them. More than a dozen burly men and Elder Blue surrounded Guilili as they stood beside the vehicles. These burly men wore camouflage combat uniforms, bulletproof vests, steel helmets, anti-stun night vision goggles, loaded guns, and combat daggers tied to their legs. They were majestic and murderous. Elder Blue, thank you for your hard work this time. Guilili was respectful to Elder Blue as if she was seeing a god. Miss Gua, you're too polite. I'm just taking your money to solve your problem. Elder Blue waved his hand. Seeing Jiang Tian come out, Guilili immediately laughed disdainfully. I didn't expect you to go to White Ape Valley. Are you going to die? Guilili's skin was fair, her eyes were clear, and her lips were red like flames. Her hiking clothes perfectly outlined her tall figure, making her curvy figure even more alluring. But in Jiang Tian's eyes, even if Guilili was a heavenly beauty, she couldn't compare to a strand of Zhao Xueqing's hair. He ignored her and got into the off-road vehicle. This kid is so arrogant. Do you think I won't beat you up? One of the burly men had a ferocious face. He rolled up his sleeves and scolded angrily. Wen Fei used to be the ace soldier of a special force in Wuxia. After he retired, he was hired by the Gua family with 5 comrades and became their private guard. This time, he was in charge of the operation in White Ape Valley. He was responsible for killing demon beasts and obtaining divine stones of life. The reward was 2 million. He had an arrogant personality. Seeing Jiang Tian's indifferent attitude, he immediately became furious. Forget it. They're just cannon fodder. Guilili disdained. Cannon fodder? Jiang Tian rolled down the window and laughed disdainfully. You guys can't even hurt a hair on the demon beast, let alone kill it. Instead, you'll be eaten like desserts. He shook his head. These people didn't know the horror of demon beasts. Kid, look carefully. Wen Fei pulled the bolt of the heavy machine gun and sneered. We're equipped with heavy firepower. Howitzers, heavy machine guns, and sniper rifles are all available. Demon beasts my ass. Even if Ultraman came, I'd beat him to death in a matter of minutes. Huh, you want to hurt demon beasts with these few sticks? If you want to enter the valley, I won't stop you. You'll regret it when the time comes. Jiang Tian waved his hand. Li Zhenwei started the car, leaving Wen Fei and the others with a trail of arrogant exhaust. Everyone was furious and kept cursing. Alright, stop talking nonsense. Let's move. Guilili ordered and led everyone into the car. A few off-road vehicles quickly followed. The mountain road was steep and uneven. The car bumped from time to time and the people in the car were swayed. On one side of the mountain road was a bottomless cliff surrounded by clouds. Once someone fell into it, they would be smashed into pieces. On the other side was a cliff. From time to time, there would be basketball-sized rocks rolling down. It was dangerous everywhere. Sometimes, the mountain road was too narrow. They could only slow down the car and carefully brush against the cliff. After all, Guilili was the daughter of a rich family. She had never seen such a scene. She was so scared that her face turned pale and cold sweat dripped down. Her eyebrows were tightly knitted together. She clenched her fist and didn't dare to look at the side of the cliff. This time, we must find the ice crystal. Grandpa is seriously ill. The doctor said that he can't live past this year. Only the ice crystal can save him. If I get the ice crystal and save Grandpa, my status in the family will also rise. Even if I'm the son of a mistress, I can still manage a few big companies and hold my head high. Gualili kept encouraging herself in her heart. Her mind was filled with thoughts. Suddenly, Jiang Tian's off-road vehicle in front of them stopped. Everyone got out of the car to take a look. A huge boulder that weighed several hundred kilograms was lying across the narrow mountain path. It had rolled down from the peak of the mountain due to the eruption of the mudslide some time ago. It had blocked the path completely. Master, there's a huge rock in front of us. Li Jinwei reported to Jiang Tian and was about to get out of the car to deal with it. What's so difficult about that? Trash, you can't do it. Let me do it. Wen Fei strode forward and took a deep breath. Then, with a loud shout, he kicked the rock. Boom! The huge rock flew into the air like a football. It flew for more than 3 meters before it fell into the cliff. Brother Fei, good move. Gualili clapped her hands and cheered. She did not forget to look at Jiang Tian and the others proudly. Unexpectedly, Jiang Tian and the others' expressions did not change. They were as calm as an ancient well. Jiang Tian was even dozing off. Gualili was frustrated when she did not see the shock and fear she expected. She snorted and said, "Keep pretending. I'll see how long you can pretend." That's funny. Master Kong can even move a 10,000-kilogram huge rock. What's this small rock? Li Jinwei retorted. In his mind, Jiang Tian was the supreme existence. How could Gualili and the others blaspheme him? A 10,000-kilogram huge rock? What's so funny about that? Wen Fei did not believe it at all. He said sarcastically, "I'm already at the peak of the iron body stage, but I can only lift a few hundred kilograms of rock. What's his cultivation level? Is he a martial arts master? Bragging without a draft. Forget it, Jinwei. Don't bother with them. Let's go." Jiang Tian waved his hand to stop Li Jinwei, who still wanted to argue with them. They set off again. Unknowingly, it was already night time. Night fell. Everyone set up camp on an open hillside. They rested for the night and recharged their energy. They would set off tomorrow. Li Jinwei cut down the shrubs, laid down the moisture-proof mattress and bedding, and took down the dry food. Fei, you go test him." Gualili gave Wen Fei a look. Wen Fei immediately understood. A trace of ridicule flashed across his face. He came to Jiang Tian and the others, pulled open his pants and peed on the dry food and bedding. "What are you doing? Are you looking for trouble?" Ghost Kick saw this and was furious. He put his hands on his waist and shouted angrily. Sorry, I didn't see clearly." Wen Fei smiled but did not have any intention of apologizing. He continued to pee on the dry food and bedding. "Who do you think you are? Even if your instructor came, he wouldn't dare to be rash with me." Li Jinwei was furious. He rolled up his sleeves and was about to attack. Forget it. We're all moving together. Don't argue anymore." Jiang Tian waved his hand and stopped Li Jinwei. Not to mention Wen Fei, even Elder Blue was just an ant that Jiang Tian could casually crush. However, Jiang Tian's trip this time was to obtain the frost crystal stone. It was meaningless to argue with them. Wen Fei returned to Gualili's side and shook his head mockingly. "Miss Gua, I'm afraid this kid has no cultivation at all. He's trash. He's definitely not an expert. If he was an expert, he wouldn't be able to hold himself back." Yes, and he's a coward. Gualili thought so too. Disdain was written all over her face as she said, "There's no need to get rid of them. If we get the divine stone of life, he won't dare to come and snatch it." Chapter 41. At this moment, 3 gunshots came from the forest. It was so quick that it made people wonder if they had time to aim. Not long after, a muscular man in camouflage with a Barrett sniper rifle jumped out of the forest. He threw out 3 fat and big hairs and said with a smile, "Miss, I've caught 3 mountain jumps. Let's give Miss a good meal." "Eagle Eye, you're really something. 3 shots, 3 hairs, not a single bullet missed its mark. Great precision. Wen Fei punched the kid and said with a smile. The sniper eagle eye had carried out several anti-terrorist beheading operations and had never missed a shot. He was a famous sharpshooter in the military region. What's a rabbit? I can even kill a martial arts expert. Eagle Eye said proudly. My home is on the Songhua River. There are soybeans and sorghum all over the mountains. The heavy cannoneer, Mountain Pow, picked up the hair and cleaned it. He then used a branch to skewer it. On the other side, Wen Fei had already started a bonfire and was roasting it. He sprinkled some salt and pepper and smeared some oil. Soon, the tempting smell of the rabbit wafted into his nose. This rabbit meat is not bad, chewy and has a fragrance. Misqua, Elder Lon, try it? The few of them ate and drank while bragging about their heroic deeds in the past. Gualili also lit up an alcohol stove and brewed coffee. She sat on a small folding stool and drank it with relish, very much like a young lady of the bourgeoisie. These bastards, they really know how to enjoy themselves. Li Jinwei was so angry that he vomited blood. His food was dirty and he was so hungry that his stomach was growling. After Wen Fei and the rest finished their meal, there was still a rabbit left. However, they didn't give it to Jiang Tian and directly threw it into the valley. After dinner, everyone started to rest. Wen Fei and the rest were experienced in surviving in the wild. They started a bonfire and set up tents. They took turns to rest and one of them was on guard with a gun to prevent wild boars and other beasts from disturbing them. Old Devil Jinwei, you guys go rest in the car first. It's too cold outside. Jiang Tian suddenly opened his eyes and said with a smile. Their bedding was wet and smelly. They couldn't use it at all. The altitude here was very high, and the temperature was very low. The mountain wind whistled, and the leaves were dripping with water. It was extremely humid, and no one could resist it. That won't do. Master Kong, go rest in the car. We'll guard outside. Li Jinwei and Li Qiye had long regarded Jiang Tian as a god. How could they let Jiang Tian freeze outside the car? It's all right. Jiang Tian took out a medicinal pill and gave it to the two of them, saying, swallow it. It can resist the cold and fill your stomach. After the two swallowed it, they immediately felt that the aura in their bodies was abundant. The feeling of hunger disappeared without a trace. They couldn't help but click their tongues in wonder. Then they got into the car to rest. This cocky guy should be frozen to death. The next morning at the first glimmer of dawn, after Gualili woke up, she saw Jiang Tian sitting on a piece of blue stone. She could not help but be shocked. Amidst the howling cold wind, Jiang Tian sat cross-legged with his eyes closed, motionless like a statue. I didn't realize that this kid was actually quite handsome. Gualili leaned over and saw that Jiang Tian's face was like jade. His nose was straight and his mouth was square. His eyelashes were very long, and his slightly long black hair fluttered in the wind. Jiang Tian suddenly opened his eyes and said calmly, Miss Gua, is there something I can help you with? I thought you were asleep. You gave me a fright. Gualili patted her chest and took a few steps back in fright. Oh. Jiang Tian closed his eyes again. Gualili clicked her tongue in wonder. This kid sat outside for an entire night, and he didn't freeze to death? Could it be that he had some cultivation? After some rest, the group set off again. By noon, there were no more mountain paths, so they could only abandon the car and walk into White Ape Valley. Water dripped from the trees that covered the sky, and vines as thick as an arm wrapped around them. The forest was filled with white fog, and visibility was very low. The air was filled with a strange smell of rotten branches and leaves. The group walked through the forest that was full of humus. Every step they took created a circle of muddy water. The bushes were dense, and thorns grew everywhere. They slanted to the side, making it even more difficult for the group to walk. Jiang Tian and the others were fine. They were all wearing clothes covered in pine oil, so the thorns couldn't pierce through them at all. However, Gualili was miserable. Her mountaineering clothes were torn several times by the thorns, leaving spots of blood on her snow-white skin. Old ghost, what kind of path are you looking for? Look at how you've pricked our young miss. Wen Fei said angrily. This is the only path. There are no other paths. If you're afraid of trouble, then go back. Ghost Kick was very unhappy with them. He couldn't be bothered to pay attention to them. These small fries dared to disrespect Master Kong. What are you talking about? We've already paid. Mountain Pow said angrily. His face was full of anger. Hee, what's so difficult about that? I'll lead the way. Elder Blue took out 2 pieces of yellow paper from his pocket. After unfolding them, they turned out to be 2 paper dolls holding knives. On top of them, there were runes drawn with blood and cinnabar. They looked terrifying. 10,000 miles curse, gather power on the runes. Elder Blue formed a hand seal and chanted. After a while, he pointed at the paper dolls and said, "Come!" The 2 paper dolls bent their legs and rushed out. They swung the paper knives and slashed down. Chi-chi-chi. Sharp sounds were heard. Vines and thorns danced in the air. The 2 paper dolls actually opened up a path. Everyone was dumbfounded by what they saw. Elder Blue, what kind of technique is this? It's too magical. The paper dolls can open up a path? This doesn't make sense. Wen Fei, Mountain Pow, and the others exclaimed. They couldn't believe it. After Lily exclaimed, she cupped her fists and bowed to Elder Blue. She said respectfully, "Elder Blue is really a god. I admire you very much. This time, with Elder Blue's help, we will definitely succeed." Hee, it's just a small trick. It's not worth mentioning. Elder Blue proudly waved his hand, then glanced at Jiang Tian and the other 2 in disdain, and said disdainfully, "Trash, we're going ahead first. You guys better not fall behind." Could it be that he has reached the ethereal enlightenment state? Although Elder Blue was mocking him, Li Jinwei knew that he was no match for him. He lowered his head and didn't dare to fight back. He has only reached the ethereal enlightenment state. Jiang Tian shook his head and said, he did not use the chi of heaven and earth. It's the blood curse technique. Blood curse technique? What is that? Li Jinwei and Ghost Kick asked in surprise. It's a secret technique. He uses the blood of a living person to draw a talisman on the paper dolls. The paper dolls and the living person form a blood connection. Jiang Tian looked disgusted. He said, after he cast the spell, the paper dolls will borrow the strength of the living person to move. But the living person will probably die of exhaustion. Master Kong, do you know the Tao of sorcery? You're also proficient in this blood curse technique? Hearing Jiang Tian's explanation, Li Jinwei and Ghost Kick were shocked. They couldn't believe it. Hee, this is nothing. It's just a type of sorcery. It's a dirty trick. Jiang Tian shook his head in disdain. This blood curse technique was nothing in the cultivation world. It was too sinister and vicious. It was also very crude and primitive. It couldn't be compared to Jiang Tian's ability to control the chi of heaven and earth. They walked until 3 o'clock in the afternoon. Suddenly, they felt a burst of cold air. It was already May. The scorching sun was high in the sky, and they were in the middle of a tropical rainforest. It should have been unbearably hot. But everyone felt a chill. It was as if they had fallen into an ice cellar. Their bodies were cold and they couldn't help but shiver. White Ape Valley is right in front, Ghost Kick said with a trembling voice. He looked a little afraid. We're almost there. Everyone, let's work harder. Lily was excited and encouraged them. Everyone quickened their pace. They went over a mountain ridge and looked down. They saw a huge valley with a radius of 3 to 4 miles. But it was covered in ice and snow. Snowflakes drifted down as if it was the coldest winter. Let's enter the valley now. When Fei ordered, Hawkeye, Mountain Pow, stay with Miss on the mountain ridge. Use the Barrett sniper rifle and the rocket launcher to support her from afar. Hawkeye and Mountain Pow answered together. They were like the most elite soldiers, filled with killing intent. No, I want to go there myself, Lily said with a determined face. When Fei nodded helplessly and continued to order, Hurricane, use the heavy machine gun and provide mid-range support. Zhao Yen and the rest of you, follow me and Miss Gua to collect the divine stone of life. I'll have to trouble Elder Blue to hold the line. No problem. Everyone started to move. When Fei glanced at Jiang Tian and the other two and sneered, "You guys can rest here and be bystanders. You guys can go be cannon fodder first." Jiang Tian stared at the cave with the heaviest cold air and said with a faint smile, "We will be cannon fodder. You are not even cannon fodder." When Fei gritted his teeth. But at this critical moment, he could not be bothered with Jiang Tian and went down to the bottom of the valley with Guo Lily, Elder Blue, Zhao Yan and the rest. Everyone stopped talking and looked for cover. They loaded their guns and stared at the bottom of the valley, ready for battle. "Master Kong, are we really not going to fight with them?" Li Jinwei said angrily. "With their abilities, they can't get it." Jiang Tian shook his head with disdain. At this time, Guo Lily and the rest were standing about 100 meters away from the entrance of the cave. She looked nervous and pulled out an exquisite handgun. "If there are mystical beasts, they will definitely come out." Elder Blue took out a bunch of withered grass from her basket and lit it up. This was demon luring grass, the most precious treasure of the 5 poison sect. All poisonous insects and mystical beasts could not resist the temptation of the smell and would be attracted to it. This Elder Blue is really retarded. She could have just taken it quietly. Why did she have to lure the mystical beasts out? Jiang Tian shook his head and sighed. Elder Blue's action was undoubtedly seeking her own death. She did not know the strength of the mystical beasts. Cultivators should understand the principle of hiding themselves. A direct confrontation should be avoided. After all, the goal was to get the gem and not to kill the white ape. "What do you know? Get lost." Beside him, Shan Pao pointed his handgun at Jiang Tian and reprimanded him. "Alright, stop waving your fire stick around. Aim at the entrance of the cave. The mystical beasts are coming out." Jiang Tian smiled. Rumble, 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 rumble. The snow on the ground was shaken to the point that it fluttered in the air, and the solid ice cracked with a series of crunching sounds. "Everyone, the white ape is coming out. Get ready." Guo Lily smiled proudly. She opened the safety of her handgun and loaded it. She aimed at the entrance of the cave. She felt like she was fighting monsters in an online RPG game. Suddenly, there was a rumble. Huge rocks the size of millstones flew and snow scattered. The cave exploded. A white shadow leaped out like lightning. Guo Lily's smile froze before it could fully bloom. She could not smile anymore. In the reflection of her frightened pupils, a huge white shadow appeared. The huge shadow was so huge that under the cover of the trees and rocks, only half of its body was exposed. It was already 10 meters tall. Chapter 42. It was 10 meters tall. It was as tall as 3 or 4 stories. A person standing at the bottom of a 4-story building would definitely feel small and powerless. At that moment, Guo Lily, who was standing below the white ape, felt small and powerless. Yes, she wanted to shoot, but she could not even move her fingers. She wanted to scream, but she could not make a sound. It wasn't just her, everyone present was horrified when they saw this scene. They were flabbergasted, dumbstruck, and stood there motionless. Only cold sweat flowed down like a stream. Seeing those lantern-sized eyes emitting a frightening red light, Elder Blue felt his heart skip a beat and his whole body trembled. The red-eyed ape was covered in long white hair. Its muscles were bulging like small hills. Its arms were as thick as a giant tree. Its mouth was filled with saliva and fangs. There was a black demonic aura gushing out of its body. Its red eyes were burning with flames. It was like a demon god. It was extremely terrifying. Although Elder Blue was one of the top 3 experts in the 5 poison sect and was used to seeing big battles, he still had difficulty breathing when he saw this creature. His heart almost jumped out of his throat. Shoot. When Fei was the first to react. He aimed his M16 at the red-eyed white ape and pulled the trigger. The muzzle of the M16 was filled with flames. Bullets were fired at the red-eyed white ape as if they were free. However, when Fei finished a magazine, it shook its body and the bullets fell to the ground. The bullets could not hurt the white ape at all. The red-eyed white ape was in pain. It opened its mouth and roared angrily. Its roar shook 10 miles and echoed in the huge valley for a long time. Back off! Sniper rifle and rocket launcher, fire. Wen Fei was shaken to the point that his blood and qi surged. He was so frightened that his heart was pounding. He ran outside while changing the magazine. The red-eyed white ape leaped out. It took a big step and stepped down. The snow collapsed and the earth shook. It only took a breath to arrive behind Wen Fei, and with a sweep of its hand, it grabbed Wen Fei. Let me go! Wen Fei's vision shook. The world was spinning. He struggled desperately and screamed. But his fear only lasted a second. In the next moment, he was stuffed into the bloody mouth and was chewed into pieces. He couldn't be more dead. Hoodlum. When Gualili, who was running wildly, saw this scene, she was so scared that her soul almost left her body. She screamed with fear and heartache. After Hoodlum retired, he had been her personal bodyguard. He had killed 3 assassins and saved her many times. Their relationship wasn't as simple as that of an employer and an employee, but they were also good friends. Miss Gua, please follow me. Elder Blue had long been scared out of his wits. He cast a talisman on his leg to strengthen his body movement, and his speed doubled. He carried Gualili and ran like lightning. Bastard, I'll kill you! Seeing that white ape was chasing after Elder Blue and Gualili, Hurricane suddenly stood up from behind the bunker. He held an M134 minigun heavy machine gun that was about his height and fired at white ape. The casing of the heavy machine gun was made of metal. The 6 barrels were fixed into a bundle and looked majestic. The bullets on the long ammunition chain were like radishes. This rapid-fire machine gun had a maximum firing rate of 6,000 rounds per minute. It was the fastest machine gun in the world and was known as the Vulcan cannon. When the trigger was pulled, the bullets were fired. The 6 barrels were driven by the motor to rotate, and a series of actions such as loading, locking, firing, pushing, and throwing the shells were carried out. The dazzling flame at the muzzle turned into a fiery red straight line. The firing rate was too fast, and the bullets entered the muzzle at an astonishing speed. The long ammunition chain was dragged and fluttered. The bullet shells were thrown out like rain and fell to the ground with tinkling sounds. The firepower of this heavy machine gun was many times stronger than that of the M16. Its firing rate was high, and it was equipped with armor-piercing bullets that could penetrate a light armored vehicle. The bullets were shot out of the muzzle at a super high speed of 960 meters per second. They swept out like a violent storm and whistled toward the fire Qilin. Suddenly, smoke filled the air, ice and snow splashed, and gravel shot out. The ice layer and the rocky ground around White Ape were all lifted. The powerful gunshots were like continuous thunder. "Ha, the bastard, it's time to fall." Hurricane laughed maniacally. The fire Qilin was too big. There was no need to aim. After a minute, the 6,000 armor-piercing bullets in the ammunition chain were used up. Even an armored vehicle would be turned into a sieve. But what was shocking was that White Ape did not fall at all. Its huge body was as hard as iron, and there was almost no way to break through its defense. It only turned its head slowly and looked at the lowly creature in confusion. A terrifying red light flashed in its eyes. "Fuck, what the fuck is this thing?" Hurricane was in a predicament. His hands trembled, and the M134 minigun machine gun fell on his feet. He grimaced in pain. But at that moment, he had forgotten about the pain and forgot about running away. Cold sweat flowed like a stream. Boom! The red-eyed White Ape lifted a 1,000-pound boulder and turned around. With the momentum of the rotation, it threw the boulder as if it was a shot put. Boom! The boulder whistled through the air. It was as fast as lightning, and it accurately hit Hurricane. The latter did not even have time to scream before he was smashed into meat paste. As for Zhao Yan and the other gunmen, their fates were no different. They were either swallowed by White Ape, squashed to death, or smashed to death by the giant tree and boulder thrown by White Ape. The remaining bodyguards were already scared out of their wits. They fled out of the valley like stray dogs. They were not suicide squads. They were just bodyguards who were paid to take care of disasters. In such a critical moment, saving their lives was more important. Go to hell, bastard. On a distant beam, Mountain Pow's eyes were red. He lifted the rocket launcher and fired instantly. Swoosh! A cannonball with a long tail broke through the air and whistled towards White Ape. Puff! The red-eyed White Ape actually raised its hand and caught the rocket. Then, with the help of the rocket's inertia, it turned around and threw the rocket towards the mountain ridge. Bang! Mountain Pow was blown to pieces. Hawkeye, who had fired a few shots, was also blown 3 meters away. He screamed like a pig being slaughtered. If he was not fully armed, wearing a helmet and a bulletproof vest, he would have been killed on the spot. Master Kong, let's retreat. This red-eyed White Ape is stronger than the last time I saw it. I'm afraid that even a martial arts grandmaster or an immortal spellmaster would not be able to handle it. Ghost Kick was terrified. The red-eyed White Ape was too terrifying. It had defeated a dozen bodyguards. Even the rocket launcher could not kill it. Let's just watch the show. What's the hurry? Jiang Tian said lazily. By then, Gua Lily and Elder Blue had run to the top of the mountain. Elder Blue whistled and hurried to throw out the bamboo basket. Suddenly, dozens of poisonous snakes, scorpions, toads, spiders, and bats fell from the sky and rushed toward the White Ape. Huff! The red-eyed White Ape didn't even bat an eye. It opened its mouth and blew out a gust of scorching hot air. The poisonous creatures fell to the ground as soon as they came in contact with the gust of wind. How can this bastard be so powerful? Elder Blue was scared out of his wits. He took out a few talisman charms and cast them at the beast. Immediately, balls of pitch-black chi rolled and surged toward the White Ape. This is the miasma poison that I created using the 5 poison chi. 1 drop of it is enough to kill an internal force user. Even a transcendent state master would not be able to withstand it. Elder Blue had regained some of his confidence. He looked expectantly at the billowing 5 poison black smoke. It will be poisoned to death. If it is poisoned to death, I will pull out its tendons and skin it alive to avenge Hoodlum and the others. Gua Lily shouted. She clenched her fists so tightly that her nails dug into her flesh. Unexpectedly, the red-eyed White Ape opened its bloody mouth and suddenly inhaled. Like a whale sucking in water, it actually sucked in the 5 poison miasma until not a single drop was left. It even burped in satisfaction. This time, Elder Blue was really scared out of his wits. He pulled Gua Lily, who was dumbstruck, and ran out of the valley. Miss Gua, let's go. If we don't leave now, we'll die here too. Am I going to leave just like that? Gua Lily cried out in despair. This trip had cost her tens of millions just to gather information and find a guide. Hoodlum and a dozen other bodyguards had also died. She couldn't explain to her father and grandfather if she returned empty-handed. However, what else could she do? Her heavy firepower was useless. Elder Blue was also helpless. The bodyguards were all running for their lives. She was just a weak woman. She would be no match for the White Ape. But just as she was about to walk out of the valley in despair, she saw a tall figure approaching the White Ape. What are you doing? Gua Lily couldn't believe it and screamed. What am I doing? Of course I am going to kill it. Jiang Tian's feet didn't stop. His bearing was leisurely as if he was taking a leisurely stroll. Are you crazy? Come here. Elder Blue was shocked. He shouted, This White Ape has become a demon. I am afraid that even a transcendent master can't do anything to it. You are going to die for nothing. Gua Lily and the other bodyguards looked at Jiang Tian as if they were looking at an idiot. The red-eyed White Ape was so powerful that no one could avoid it. Jiang Tian was the only one who dared to face the monstrous demon Chi head-on. Wasn't he courting death? It's just a little monkey with 300 years of cultivation. It hasn't even gained sentience. Killing it is as easy as killing a chicken. Jiang Tian said with disdain. He was only 50 meters away from the red-eyed White Ape. He was the Taichu Celestial Lord. He had slain dragons, kirins, and vermilion birds. He had tamed thousands of monsters. What kind of monster had he not killed? Jiang Tian didn't think much of a long-haired beast. It was only a first-rank monster. I wonder if Master Kong is a match for it. Right now, even Li Jinwei and Ghost Kick were sweating profusely, feeling uneasy. They did not have 100% confidence in Jiang Tian. The red-eyed white ape also stared at Jiang Tian. Everyone was running for their lives. Jiang Tian was the only one who could face it head-on. Roar! It plucked out a giant tree that was as thick as a water bucket and stomped on the ground. The earth shook and the mountains shook as it leaped up. Reaching a height of more than 10 meters, the white ape swung the huge tree, as if Mount Tai was pressing down on him, heavily smashing down towards Jiang Tian. Sword! Jiang Tian's face was calm. He waved his hand. Clank! Clank! Chapter 43. What kind of sword is this? It can be combined at will. Elder Blue was shocked. He looked at the sword in Jiang Tian's hand in disbelief. The coins were mottled with copper rust and had strange patterns inscribed on them, and they emitted an aura of time. My sword. Jiang Tian held the evil warding golden sword. His clear eyes were filled with arrogance. He raised his eyebrows and slashed at the white ape. Can break the sun and moon. Swoosh. No one could describe the sharpness and brilliance of this sword. The power of this sword was so great that it seemed to be able to tear the sky apart. Even the gods and Buddhas in the sky could be destroyed. At that moment, everything in the world was overshadowed. Only a slender and brilliant golden line was left. Wherever the surging sword energy passed, the ice was shattered. Snowflakes danced wildly, countless trees were broken, and huge rocks were cut in half. The cut was as smooth as a mirror. Then, the sharp sword energy slashed at the white ape's indestructible head that had been cultivated for hundreds of years. The white ape's strong muscles that even bullets could not penetrate were like paper. Under the sharp sword energy, Jiang Tian cut it in half from the top of its head to the crotch. The red-eyed white ape let out a shrill cry of fear. Blood spurted out from the wound like a fountain. The mountain-like corpse was cut in half from the middle. It fell to the ground with its warm internal organs, shaking the earth and rolling up thousands of piles of snow. This white ape that had lived in the valley for hundreds of years and killed countless people was killed by Jiang Tian's sword just like that. A sword that could break the sun and moon, thousands of miles of cold light cut the white ape. Everyone was shocked. Oh my God, is he still human? The Guo family bodyguards and the 5 poison sect disciples were all dumbfounded. They murmured as if they were in a dream. Controlling the spiritual chi of heaven and earth, condensing it into sword energy, and killing a demon beast with one sword. I'm afraid he's an immortal. Elder Blue's voice trembled. He was dumbfounded. The disrespect on his face had long disappeared. It was replaced by deep fear and admiration. Master Kong is indeed a master. Li Jinwei could no longer control the reverence in his heart. He knelt down on the spot as if he was worshipping a god. Master Kong has killed the demonic beast, which can be considered as avenging the old man. The old man can't thank you enough. Ghost Kick was also full of worship and he followed suit and kowtowed. How is this possible? Hawkeye and the others were shocked out of their wits. They were flabbergasted and couldn't believe it. It was as if Jiang Tian, who was originally an ant in their eyes, had now become a prehistoric Tyrannosaurus Rex baring its fangs and brandishing its claws. How could they not be shocked? I didn't expect him to be so powerful. Guo Lily was dumbfounded. Her heart was filled with complex feelings. Shock, ecstasy, fear, doubt, regret. Her emotions were like a roller coaster, going up and down, going through hundreds of twists and turns. In his eyes, everything disappeared. All that was left was the back of the man who stood there with a sword in his hand, looking down on the world like a god. This white ape turned out to be a fire-type demonic beast. Its blood often burns, and it needs the cold aura of the ice crystal to neutralize it. Otherwise, it will explode and die. Jiang Tian looked at the corpse that was emitting hot steam and thought to himself, that's right. It can be said that its body is full of treasures. Its flesh and blood can be refined into elixirs, its bones can be made into weapons, and its demonic core can even be used as a fire-type array material. I'll deal with it later. Jiang Tian made up his mind, and he didn't stop. After a few leaps, he drilled into the cave and took a fist-sized ice crystal from the stone wall. It's really an ice crystal, and it's a top-grade one. This time, it's worth it. Holding the ice crystal in his hand, Jiang Tian looked as if he had found a treasure. His eyes lit up and he praised it for a while. With his ability, money and wealth were at his fingertips, but cultivation resources were rare. This ice crystal was rare even in the extraterritorial space. How could he not be happy when he got it? After that, Jiang Tian opened his eyes and found a dozen or so smaller ice crystals in the cave. This time, the water-type materials needed to refine a 5-element spirit-gathering array were more than enough. Jiang, you found the divine stone of life? Guolili walked quickly into the cave, surrounded by Elder Blue and a few bodyguards. When she saw the crystal in Jiang Tian's hand, her eyes lit up. She stretched out her hand and said, "Give it to me." "Why should I give it to you? I was the one who got it." Jiang Tian was astonished. "We suffered heavy losses in this operation, but we also contributed. You have to give me a big one." Guolili argued unreasonably. She bared her fangs and scolded, "Do you know that with great power comes great responsibility? If you had taken action earlier, when Fei and those bodyguards wouldn't have died. What does their life have to do with me? If I hadn't taken action, you would have been eaten by the white ape." Jiang Tian's eyes were full of contempt. This kind of rich young lady was self-centered and thought that the whole world should revolve around her. Jiang Tian saved her life. Not only was she not grateful, but she blamed Jiang Tian and wanted to share the fruit. Guolili was angry and bitter. She stomped her feet and shouted, "Why are you so stingy? I want to take the divine stone of life to treat my grandfather's illness. Do you want to watch him die?" "Get out." Jiang Tian's face turned cold. He waved his sleeve and a gust of wind swept across the cave. The scenery in front of Guolili swayed and swayed. Guolili flew out of the cave and fell on her butt. "You savage! How dare you attack a weak girl? Do you know where I come from? I am the daughter of the Guo family of Nanyang." Guolili pouted and was about to cry. "Guo family of Nanyang? Who do you think you are? How dare you talk to me like that? You must have a death wish." Jiang Tian's cold, emotionless, and arrogant voice came from afar. "Since you are a girl, I will not lower myself to your level. Otherwise, you would already be dead. Jiang Tian, do you think you can do whatever you want just because you have some skills? How would you know that Nanyang has the top 10 sorcerers and martial arts experts? A man's wealth is his own ruin. Now that the divine stone of life is in your hands, if you don't give it to me, you deserve to die. Just wait for me to come back and kill you." Guolili's eyes were spitting fire. She was filled with resentment. Under the protection of Elder Blue and the others, she collected the body and left dejectedly. For the next 10 days, Jiang Tian and Li Jinwei built a hut in the valley to deal with the white ape's body. Li Jinwei called his disciples to bring over a lot of utensils and knives. First, they pulled out the white ape's tendons, skin, flesh, organs, and bones and collected them. "The fire energy is so strong. No wonder your skills are so high." Jiang Tian took out the demon core from the white ape's brain and felt a burning sensation. The skin on his palm was about to crack. He was overjoyed. He put the demon core into a jade bottle. It could be used as a fire energy stone for the 5 elements chi gathering array. Jiang Tian then used animal skin and blood to carve dozens of talismans of different types and functions, such as Fireball Talisman, Divine Travel Talisman, Protection Talisman, Earth Escape Talisman, and so on. He cast a spell to condense the remaining talismans and stored them in jade bottles. These talismans were much more powerful than the ones drawn with cinnabar chicken blood and yellow paper. After that, Jiang Tian ignited a charcoal fire and mixed the flesh and organs with precious herbs to make thousands of vital essence pills and fire spirit pills. Once a martial artist took the essence chi pill, they would strengthen their muscles and bones, increasing their cultivation by several folds. If a mortal ate it, it would also strengthen their body and increase their immunity. As for fire spirit pills, they contained powerful fire energy and could cure cold poison. They could even cure Lou Gehrig's disease. After that, Jiang Tian spent 7 days of hard work. He roasted the tendons that were as thick as an arm until they were as thin as silk. He kept hammering and rubbing them to increase their elasticity and flexibility. Then, he used some of the white ape's ribs that had been refined to create a bone zither. Using bones as zither and tendons as strings. Doesn't China like to play the zither? I'll give it to her later. Jiang Tian nodded in satisfaction. The white ape bone zither was not only very pleasant to listen to, but it was also a powerful magical weapon. If he could control it, he could produce a dragon's roar and kill a strong enemy. I wonder how the girl is doing now. Has she finished the divorce procedures? But when he thought of Zhao Xueqing's grief-stricken face, he felt a wave of sadness and frowned. You're tuning in to the Wang Lin's Journey YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.